Hello, hello. Good evening.
It is Wednesday, and it is terribly, terribly hot.
Thank you for the pet.
It's somewhere above 30 degrees. You missed pet time. Shame on you. For real. Shame on you. How dare you. It's something somewhere above 30 degrees and I'm dying. But I just came up with one of the funniest things, in my humble opinion. One of the very funny things is, oh, we're using this chibi because I have a big head with the chibi. And I need a big head to solve this game's mysteries. Massive brain capacity. Oh yeah, welcome back. We are dying because of the heat, but also we are trying to solve a murder. And this time we are on the prosecution side, because why the hell not? We may be a defense attorney, but that doesn't stop us from prosecuting people if they kill someone. I wonder if it would be this easy in real life. Like, I feel like you would not just be allowed to swap over to the other side. Just because you feel like it. But, let's try. We found out... What did we find out last time? We did find out that apparently our defendant definitely has something to do with the murder, even if she apparently was not the person outright responsible for it, like for carrying it out, but she was definitely working together with someone. And our mentor is most certainly covering for her for some reason. So.
But we will not let a
Murderer walk free? No, a murderer walk free. Your Honor, the defense, the prosecution, I would like the right to cross-examine this witness. He would like, yeah, no worries. But, bailiff, please arrest Mr. Cuthbert. I'm holding him in contempt of court. Okay, I guess that answers that question. I guess you're not allowed to switch over to the other side that easily. Oh, wait.
Hi, Sammy. Thank you for the biddies.
Wait, where is it?
Ah.
No? Just pressing every single one of my thingies. Wait, you didn't really think this through, did you? Instead of following his orders, the bailiff walks over to the judge's podium and whispers something into his ear. What? I see. Very well, then. What are they saying? It appears that Miss Stewart has somehow predicted that this would happen! In accordance with her wishes, Mr. Cuthbert may act as the prosecutor on her set. Nice!
Thank you, Steelwind.
I owe you something. What the hell? You can't be serious. I'm honestly just as surprised as you are, Miss Tamora. But Miss Stewart has apparently designated him as our stand-in.
Hello, Raiders. Wow.
Hi.
That's a lot of people. Hi, Raiders. I know I like the color pink vision I was here produce. We are currently playing Tyrion Cuthbert, the attorney of the arcane.
Thank you so much for bringing me flowers. That's so nice. Hello. Assuming recommended you, I can see that.
How is your stream? You're playing Elden Ring.
Aww.
Thank you. Thank you also for the follow. Welcome in.
Okay, hold on. First things first. This game is heavily inspired by the Ace Attorney series. We are currently in the 4th chapter out of 5. So, if you've heard of this game and still want to play it, spoiler warning. If you've not heard of this game but like Ace Attorney games, I can definitely recommend it so far. But also, yeah, we're in like maybe a third done with the 4th chapter, so longest shortish game. How long to beat says around like 15 to 20, depending on your reading speed, I would assume. I put it more towards the 20 hours simply because I'm streaming it, so I have to read out everything myself. It's not voiced. So somewhere along those lines. Very tough as always, I can imagine. Elden Ring is a game I will not touch with a 10-feet pole or a 100-feet pole ever. But I hope you had fun. This game is, like I said, heavily inspired by Ace Attorney. You are a defense attorney. In this specific case right now, we're actually acting on the prosecution side though, because we can. And it has magic. Like, it is all about, oh, some magic was used to kill someone, maybe, perhaps. But the only people, or most of the people who can use magic are of noble blood. So the nobility is out there and everyone else is supposed to suffer. But there's also common-born mages, but they are frowned upon, that kind of thing. You thought you wouldn't either, but clearly, you are playing it. Elden Ring is a nice, cozy game. I am unsure what to say to that. I have, actually. It is one of my favorite games of all time. I love and adore Umineko dearly. Without love, it cannot be seen. The whole thing, you know. Let's go! I do love me some Umineko. I wish I could wipe my whole memory of it and just, like, play through it again. Though, to be fair, like, I think now that I know the story, I even if I read it again, I would just notice things I didn't see the first time around. But also, that's like 80 hours. To be fair, I can't just drop 80 hours on it again. I would like to, like, just pause everything else and just smash through it again. Yes! Yes! I have to, like, tide myself over. I've read the entirety of the manga adaptation sometime last year or the year before, actually. I think last year. I read all of the mangas. That's so good. It's so good. Umineko, my beloved. Have you read House in Fata Morgana? Oh my goodness. That's my number one. Like, when someone tells me that they have at least a passing interest in Higurashi or Umineko, I always have to say, oh, have you heard of the House in Fata Morgana? You want to read it? Ooh, you want to read it so bad. Oh, you should. It's so good. You also need to read some, please. I'm begging. I'm not asking anymore, I'm begging. No, they're very dear to my heart. Both of these. I think I would go out on a limb and even say Umineko I like quite a bit more than Higurashi. But that's also because I could read the entirety of Umineko in basically one go. Like, over the course of a few months, I read basically every weekend I would read Umineko until I was done with all of the episodes. And with Higurashi, it took longer until the official releases with Manga Gamer came out, so that had bigger pauses in between, that kind of thing. Some other games something must have distracted you? To be fair, you're not that far in yet then. Like, the big stuff shows up a little later, so... I did read... When I first read House in Fata Morgana, I read it in 2 days. I think. Like, I started on a Friday, and then I finished it on a Saturday. How long? Wait, let me check. House in Fata Morgana. I read in 2018. The first achievement, which is like, okay, you're starting the game, I did get on the 1st of June. And then the last one. Okay, never mind, it took me 2. Okay, and the last one I did end up getting on the 3rd of June at around like 12th. In the morning. Yeah, okay, so shortly after midnight, so it took me 2 days. 2 days where I just read it. It was so good. The base, House of Fata Morgana. 16 hours. I will keep promoting it. It's one of my favorite games ever. Anyone who has at least a passing interest in good visual novels and can justify, hey, I want to spend like 20 hours reading a good visual novel, please do it. I will keep promoting it until I die. If you have the option, actually, because Steam has 2 House and Fata Morgana entries, the base game and then Bandits, which is a extra story that is also very good, but it's 2 separate entries you need to buy. If you do have the option, you can also get the newer version of House and Fata Morgana, which includes both of these things and some extra stories that weren't translated before, both on the Switch and the PlayStation 4. I think you can get that one as well, which has a few 2 new CGs, updated CGs and stuff. But the basic, the story is still the same, so. Where I'm based, I'm from Germany.
Based accent.
My accent is a mix of God knows. I think it is heavily Americanized from how I learned English, but it's out there. I'd like to think it's not as heavily German as it could be. I've heard people with heavier German accents, and I like to think it's not that much, but obviously, hearing yourself speak and how others perceive it is always different. Where are you from?
I love German accent. You're from Ireland. Ooh.
I've never been. I want to at some point. If I ever have the money for it, I would like to go to Ireland. The closest I've ever gotten was to London, but that's still quite a ways away. If Germans start speaking English, it will always result in some randomly generated accents, never consistent. I mean, the funniest thing is I can definitely tell with some of my classmates from some years back who don't use English as much in their daily life and only pretty much use it during English class. You can definitely tell that their accent is more German, because it's they don't have any other sources to imitate from. Because I would like to say I always had English teachers who were very, very good in teaching, because they were also they didn't have as much of an accent. I can only remember English teachers who also were either more Americanish, what? In their pronunciation, or at least have visited the place before and not just completely textbook only approach. One of my favorite English teachers of all time was very much in favor of, hey, watch your favorite movies, where you already know what is going to happen anyway because they're one of your favorite movies. Just watch them in your target language. Watch them in English. Put on the English subtitles so you can read when there's words you don't understand or you've never heard before, but watch them in English because you already know the basic gist of what's going to happen, but you can connect it to a different language. And I loved her. She's so right about that. It's fun. It does help with the language, and also you will find words you've never seen before in your life and actually hear them out loud. And that's how you find out you would have pronounced inevitable wrong your entire life, like me. Anyway, let's get this prosecution job done. Miss Steven has apparently designated him as a standard. It's unorthodox, but it's also legal. It is! That answers my question from earlier. That's nice. You called something strange Steve and asked you earlier today. What would you do if one of your clients was guilty? Yeah, we've done. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Steven, does she someone know this would happen? Actually, what I'm wondering is... when was she attacked? Was she already attacked? I don't remember what I said when she was attacked. Was she already attacked when we were talking to her in the morning? Because then definitely she knew something was up. But if she was only attacked somewhere between the morning... No, she must have been attacked somewhere in the morning. Oh.
Absolutely. Take care. Get some rest. Thank you so much for coming by. This isn't how I expected this trial to go. Shortly after you barged onto the prosecutor's table, Celeste awkwardly followed behind you. Curiously, she only did so after the bailiff didn't arrest you. Is her really doing this? What's wrong? This feels weird. We're on the other side of the courtroom. I mean, this is where the prosecutor's supposed to stand. No, this feels way too jarring. Ruby, can we switch tables? What? Please ignore her. No, this is way too weird. Tyrion, get her to switch sides with us. Celeste, for the love of... I genuinely do not care. Pepper can have this side if he wants it so badly. They're like, no, we have to switch all of our assets to the other side. We have to mirror everything. That's a bunch of work. Let's not... With that out of the way, let's resume proceedings. Assuming that we're all at our preferred spots. We are, Your Honor. As much as you hate to admit it, you are more comfortable here. Not that you want to encourage her. With all of these interruptions, I think it best to review the proceedings up until now. The prosecution proposed that Beatrice Frigga's motive for the murder was to claim the victim's inheritance. However, the defense brought forth a witness who testified that Beatrice was disinherited by her father 5 years ago. Absolutely. Take care, Sammy. Thank you.
Am I correct, Miss Tamora? You are, Your Honor. Very well. Considering the circumstances, I think it's best to have Lady Frigga repeat her testimony. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frigga to the stand once more.
Oh yeah. Hello.
Miss Frigga, could you please give your testimony to the court once more? Of course.
Of course.
I am running out of different voices to do, but it's okay. One day we all woke up and discovered that Beatrice had fled from our home. She left a note for us, and in it she renounced her name and denounced my father. My father later called me and my sister into his study. He told us that he completely disowned Beatrice and removed any claims she had to the Frigga estate, but he only did that, like, shortly before he was killed. It was probably a threat to us in case we ever chose to go down the same path she did. He wanted to make an example out of her. This all happened 5 years ago, and you're fucking lying. On the witness stand! So your father disinherited Beatrice shortly after her departure? Yes, he did. As such, Beatrice would have no motive to murder her father. Any inheritance she could have received would be long gone by the night of the murder. Is that really true, though? No, it's not! On the night of the murder! Beatrice angered William Frigga enough for him to declare that he would be disinheriting her that night.
You're lying!
Miss Frigga, it's clear that you're regretful of how your elder sister was treated. The guilt must have eaten at you for all these years. Cuthbert, I know you don't have a good history with the witness, but you shouldn't rub salt on her wounds. I was merely pointing out the witness's personal connection to the defendant, Mr. Mora. She clearly regrets not standing up for her sister all those years ago. So perhaps she's trying to make up for that. By lying to protect her. Excuse me, I did nothing of the sort. Miss Frigga, you testified that your father disinherited Beatrice 5 years ago. However, I have testimony from another witness who spoke with the victim on the night of the murder. After Beatrice's meeting with William Frigga, he openly declared that he would be removing her from his will. He even entered his study to draft a new will to reflect that decision. So that raises the following question. Why would the victim need to declare that he was disinheriting the defendant? It doesn't make sense if he had already disinherited her 5 years ago. Is that so? Well, who did you hear this from? It's clear that they had no understanding of my father's estate. They had no understanding? Miriam, this testimony came directly from your sister, Lee Frigga. What?
And she should have also been present during this alleged meeting 5 years ago. I think I can count on, like, one hand how many streams we've had recently that were not interrupted by... Anyway. Well, she must be mistaken then.
Objection!
Objection!
Oh, Your Honor, how can we trust second-hand testimony from a witness who isn't here? Wouldn't it make more sense to have Leif give her testimony directly? I must agree with you, Mr. Mora. Leif Frigga should be allowed to clear up this misunderstanding. She looks way too confident. What is she planning? You're not sure if it was intentional, but Miriam's testimony was false. She'd be lying to protect Beatrice, and if so, is Mr. Mora expecting Leif to do the same? Bailiff, please escort Leif Frigga to the stand. I feel like Mr. Mora is clearly leading us along somewhere. I don't know where yet, though. Miss Frigga, when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that your father decided to disinherit Beatrice. And he decided this after their meeting on the night of the murder. Is that correct? Yes, I did say that. You see, Leif, Cuthbert doubts the testimony given by your younger sister. He seems to think that she's committed perjury. What? I wouldn't go so far as to say, witness, lying under oath is a serious crime. It would have harsh consequences even for someone of your sister's status. Oh, you... No, she couldn't have. Wonderful. Are you saying that you can corroborate your sister's testimony? Mr. Mora, you can't just intimidate the witness. I have no idea what you're talking about, Cuthbert. I'm just telling the witness what may or may not happen depending on what she does next. The choice is ultimately hers. So, Leif, assuming Miriam wasn't lying under oath, could you please testify to the court to confirm what your sister said? Yes, of course. I fucking hate this woman. You see, Miriam was quite young when my father called us into his study 5 years ago. She didn't understand what he was really doing. My father would often lie to us. It was one of the many ways that he kept us in line. The encounter that Miriam described was just another one of his lies. Despite the disagreements, my father would never disinherit Beatrice without a good reason. He always held on to the possibility that she would become desperate enough to return home. The truth is that none of us knew what my father was planning for House Frigga's future. See, Cuthbert, the truth is much more complicated. No one could have really known what William Frigga was planning for his estate. He already promised the hand of the other sister to... Stop lying! Leif is definitely trying to cover for Miriam, and Mr. Morris playing her like a fiddle. Luckily for you, she's not the only person I gave her statement to you.
Ha ha ha. Oh, no one knows what he was planning?
Your hand in marriage is already given to a guy who's supposed to take over the entire fucking thing. Remember? Where is it? Here it is. Engagement.
Objection!
What I will never understand is, like, oh, you don't have any sons. You have several daughters, but you don't have any sons. You would give one of your daughters hand in marriage to some other guy, and he takes over everything. Instead of, like, keeping it in the family and just having your daughter be the next head of the household. No, you would give it to some other guy. That smells. But okay. Miss Frigga, did you really have no idea about House Frigga's future? No, I didn't. My father made sure of that. As I told you, he kept many secrets and wasn't above lying to manipulate us. Well, with Beatrice gone, you would have been the one to inherit your father's estate. Would you really be ignorant of your father's plans for House Frigga? Unfortunately for you, I don't think you'd be that careless. In fact, I have it on good authority that you knew exactly how William's inheritance would be divided before that night. What? Leif, according to Lord von Sanctus, you were arranged into a diplomatic marriage with his son. You expressed resistance to this arrangement, am I correct? I have no reason to comment on that matter. Cuthbert, the witness's personal matters are hardly any of our business. Yes, I must ask that you keep this discussion relevant to the case. Your Honor, Leave's resistance to this marriage is exactly how I know that her testimony is false. She was extremely averse to this marriage, and because of that, she made sure to know every detail about how it would affect her and her house. And that includes how House Freyja would be inherited by her future husband. So that raises the question, Leaf. If you already knew the intricate details of this marriage, why would your father tell you that he was disinheriting your sister? The statement would only make sense if Beatrice was already in his will beforehand. That would render Miriam's testimony false and constitute a motive for the defendant.
Objection!
Objection!
You present a decent argument, Cuthbert, but your claims rely on one assumption. And what assumption would there be, Mr. Mora? Even if he was lying, the victim declared that he was revoking Beatrice's inheritance. She must have already been named in the will previously, otherwise there would have been no need for him to say that. It wouldn't make any sense otherwise. And that's where your assumption is. You assume that William Frege was acting logically. What are you talking about? It's clear that William Frege was extremely controlling of his daughters. By your own admission, Leif Frege was resistant to the marriage arranged by her father. In addition to that, Miriam Frege, Miriam Frege found herself wrapped in controversy regarding the Nightgrave trial a few months ago. And finally, to make matters worse, Beatrice Frege, the prodigal child, finally returned and made a public appearance during the Lord's Ball. What are you trying to insinuate? In his eyes, William Frege's ability to keep his daughters in line was clearly weakening. He must have gotten desperate and made a grand declaration, a feeble attempt to scare you, Lee. Even if the declaration was clearly inconsistent. He wouldn't. Your ability to remember must be muddled by the shock of your father's death. His statement couldn't have possibly been true. If by some chance it were true, that would make you guilty of perjury. Or perhaps it was Miriam that was lying in her testimony. If your father's statement were true, the court might be inclined to investigate her for lying on the stand. Oh, fuck you. Mr. Mora, are you threatening her? As I said before, I'm merely stating the facts. The witness is free to act as she sees fit. I'm just asking her to reconsider the potential consequences of what she says next. What do I do? She's pressuring Leif to side with her. She's clearly conflicted though. Isn't there anything you can do? Feel a sense of clarity when you look at her. Is the other force reacting to her stress? You wonder. I'm sorry, I need time to think. Please don't stare at me like that, Mr. Cuthbert. In a minute. No, wait. It's too late. Too bad, so sad. I can use my fancy powers. You did it. You activated the empowered eye. There has to be something in her mind that you can use. Say that her father's inheritance is the backbone of your case. Is there anything in her mind that can definitely prove what was on his will? What if you make her think about her father? Now we had our differences, but I did love you and I never wanted you to die. She seems genuinely surprised and regretful about his death. From your encounter earlier, you know that Beatrice had an accomplice, but you doubt that it was Leif. Okay, what if we make you think about the arranged marriage? As much as I hate to admit it, this trial is a perfect opportunity to back out of the arranged marriage. When Sector's holdings are weakening by the day, I doubt he'll be able to put up much resistance. And once Beatrice inherits the estate, we might be able to rebuild our family. She's assuming that Beatrice will inherit House Frege. Confidence must mean that she's certain of what was in William's will. How do you prove that? Okay. Think about Miriam. Why would Miriam say those things? Am I misremembering what happened? I would have remembered something like that. She must be trying to protect Beatrice. So Miriam's testimony was a conscious lie. Beatrice's inheritance wasn't revoked until the night of the murder. Okay. And now, Miss Tamora. Why is she doing this? Ruby Tamora, I've heard stories about her. I never expected Beatrice to hire someone like her. I wonder if she'll be at the will reading tomorrow. A will reading? She must be talking about William Frege as well. I believe you've had enough time for deliberation, Mr. Cuthbert. Are you able to prove the defendant's motive or not? I'm not, Your Honor. At least not yet. It's clear we won't get anywhere until we can confirm the state of William Frege's will. And we can easily confirm that tomorrow morning, when William Frege's will is read to his family. How did you... I see. Once his will is read, it will become public record. I suppose I have no choice but to suspend this trial until such time that William Frege's will is read.
Objection!
Eh?
This is ludicrous. The case against my client is completely outrageous. We spent the entire court proceedings arguing if a motive even exists. The prosecution has very little evidence that physically implicates my client. Miss Tamora, you clearly don't believe that the defendant had anything to do with the murder? Of course I don't. She's completely innocent. Well, if your client didn't murder the victim, who did? You sneaky little... Your Honor, with no other suspects, are you in a position to pass a verdict? No, I am not. Mr. Cuthbert is correct. The court does not have enough information to pass a verdict. Until the Inquisition has time to investigate these new developments, I will be suspending today's trial. We will resume the trial tomorrow afternoon. Court is adjourned. Ha ha! Nice. I mean, it would make sense that the fourth case would be several days long, but still. Well, that happened. Sorry, I kind of acted without thinking. Out of everything that happened today, I can't believe that Steven somehow knew you would do that. Right, that is strange. Did she seriously predict what I'd do off of that one conversation? Considering how things turned out, you suppose she was right on the mark. But that was still a big leap of faith. Anyways, we have some time to ourselves. I'd very much like to catch up on some sleep. Yeah, today's been exhausting for a lot of reasons. And your work has only started. You still have no idea who Beatrice's accomplice was. The will reading was just an opportunity to stall for time. So the question remains, who really murdered William Frigga? What the hell was that? Why is your son filling in for Arya? Listen, I have the situation under control. If that's true, I'd hate to see a situation you consider out of control. Here it is. My father is not pleased with today's developments. He promised that the verdict would be passed before William Frigga's will became public record. This has thrown quite a wrench in our plans. I understand. Cuthbert is just confused, but he's not a threat to us. That's why you're wrong. We'd better hope you're right, Tamara, or else your poor ward might suffer the same fate as Prosecutor Steelwind. What? Was Frigga's too important for of a price for us to let go? Bring us results tomorrow, or else we'll continue to take more drastic measures. Oh damn. Why? Are you also being blackmailed into doing this, Miss Tamara? What's happening? For the first time since the Lord's Ball, you're finally able to get some sleep. You woke this morning refreshed, but also a little anxious about the results of the will reading. You arrive back at Frigga Manor and see that Beatrice, Leif, Miriam, and Von Sanctus have all gathered, along with Miss Tamara, who is accompanying Beatrice as her attorney. I do wonder if I hadn't checked out this drawing in the back, if all of these scenes would just have it with the big guy still intact, and also why the big guy is gone now, apparently. You're not really sure what to say to her after everything you've done. The air still feels too awkward to approach her and talk about it. Thank you all for coming here today. As William Frigga's close associate, I must express my deepest condolences for your loss. I think I speak for all of Ivengard when I say... Enough, just get on with it. Very well then. To get straight to the point, Lord Frigga's will was magically sealed when it was given to me. He asked me, his executor, not to submit it to the courts for probate until after his death. Although I imagine none of us expected such a time to come so suddenly. Anyways, Lord Frigga's assets included sole ownership of several banking houses throughout Ivengard, 10 million gold in various investments. 10 million? 10 million gold? You can't even begin to imagine what anyone could do with even a fraction of that wealth. And lastly, sole control and ownership of the Frigga noble house. The executor takes out a large envelope and uses a runestone to dispel the magical seal on it. I, William Frigga, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. I hereby give, devise, and bequeath all of my assets and property, both real and personal, to Jaden Von Sanctus, provided that he enters into a legal and binding engagement with my daughter, Leif Frigga, within 6 months of the date of my death. What? That's... William must have added that addendum to prevent Von Sanctus from trying to steal his empire. But a legal and binding engagement is predicated on Leif accepting it. She clearly doesn't want to go through with it, so if she simply waited 6 months, Von Sanctus wouldn't have any claim to the estate. In the event that Jaden Von Sanctus does not enter into such an engagement within the specified time frame, my assets and property shall be distributed as such. All of us Frigga will be divided equally among my children as per the laws of our kingdom. You were right, William Frigga never disinherited Beatrice. This would make Miriam's testimony false. And since Beatrice would receive a portion of William's inheritance, she had a motive to commit the murder.
Hello, hello. Good evening.
You glance at Miriam. It's hard to read her expression, but something appears to be on her mind. Without a word, she walks out of the room, ignoring both Beatrice and Leaf. Leaf, on the other hand, seems to be in good spirits.
Isn't this great, Beatrice? You can lead House Frigga now just as it should have been.
Actually, about that, in light of recent events, I believe I should clarify one thing. As per the Slayer rule, if Beatrice Frigga is found guilty in a court case, her inheritance will be revoked and divided between you and your sister. I see. I shouldn't feel so happy for myself. That can't be all, can it? Surely William had a note of Leaf's obligation to marry my son. I'm not sure what you're trying to imply. Leaf Frigga is an adult with legal autonomy. She's free to make whatever decision she wishes about who she legally marries.
Hell yeah.
No, if you excuse me. We're not finished yet. Come back here. I'd love to catch up with you, Leaf, but I was only allowed out of my cell to attend the reading. You notice an Inquisition Knight outside the door. He seems to be watching Beatrice intently. But don't worry, I'm sure once this misunderstanding is resolved, we can talk all we want about our family's future.
Of course.
Both knights lead Beatrice out of the manor, and Leaf follows after them, leaving you and Celeste alone with Miss Tamora. You wanna fucking go, huh? Huh? About what I did? Look, I'm not angry, Cuthbert. No. It was an extremely unforeseen situation. And Stephen clearly put you on the spot. You felt pressure to do something and you made a rash decision. But I'm sure the court will understand if you withdraw. Stop gaslighting me! Wait, what? Cuthbert, you're not a prosecutor, you know that, right? Didn't you become an attorney to defend persecuted mages? Well, Beatrice is guilty. I saw it. I'm not going to argue about this again. You are going to withdraw. This is not up for discussion. You're not my mom! You can't tell me what to do. You've always regarded and respected Miss Tamora, and you suppose that's always made you deeply scared of disappointing her. Perhaps she's right. She knows more about what's going on than you do, and she's still your mentor.
She is 46.
You want to believe that? You really do. She's old enough. Yeah, I mean, like, she apparently has adopted us, but still. Still. You can tell me what to do. I'm a 20-year-old adult. And I have a job. Deep down, you know that this is wrong. Mr. Tamora may believe in Beatrice's innocence, but you can't just abandon this case and let her escape justice. Your hands are trembling. Why are you so scared right now? You know what you have to say, but the words won't leave your mouth. From behind you, you feel Celeste hold your trembling hand. It's warm and comforting. It's the same sensation you felt back then. Somehow you can feel it through her hand. It's as if she's silently telling you that you know what you have to do. Your anxiety fades and you take a deep breath. I'm not going to do that, Miss Tamora. What? You said it yourself. Our court system needs a defense attorney and a prosecutor of equal power to keep things fair. That's not what I'm not going to withdraw. If you believe in Beatrice's innocence and if you truly believe you're on the right side, then prove it by beating me.
Hell yeah.
Threatening somebody into withdrawing from court is still a crime, though. Yeah, like, lady, I do not care what you're being blackmailed with. If Mr. Eyetaker and his daughter, or whoever she is exactly, is going to come for me and, like, try and kill me, then okay, try me. Leibniz chocolate cookie, actually. A butter cookie with chocolate. Because the last one, before it completely melts in my room because it's so warm, I quickly ate it. They're very good. Fine. Do what you want, but you're only going to make things harder for everyone. Oh! Me. Ian. As soon as Mr. Moore steps out of the room, your body drops to the floor. Whatever bravery you felt before got replaced with an extreme amount of fatigue. Scared Lord, that's the first time I've ever spoken to her like that.
But you still did it. You stood your
Ground, not guard.
Figuratively, I mean. Right now, you're kind of just sitting on the floor.
Yeah, I need to take a moment. Can we go back to the ballroom? What? You return to the ballroom and take a moment to recover. You spot Commander White at the edge of the room, but you don't pay him much notice. It takes you a while before you feel ready to stand. You okay? Yeah, I just needed a moment. Anyways, the whole reading brought us a few more hours to investigate the murder. We should take advantage of the new information we just learned. So, where shall we start first? Huh? Right. You're the prosecutor now, so that would technically make you his boss for the time being. Yeah. Let's get to it, big guy. This is weird, right?
Yep.
Awkwardness aside, I've never really led a task force before. What would Steven normally do in a situation? Well, she'd normally have us investigate areas of interest. Right, the context of the investigation tends to change after each round of court proceedings. We're lacking a lot of physical evidence. Could you and the Inquisition search the gallery and Beatrice's room? Perhaps you can find evidence of how the sword of spell eating was stolen. Whatever you say, boss. I mean, I'm happy they made this like a conscious choice to like write everyone's ages in here though. And also everyone is really of very varying ages, except for like our main crew, I would say. Because we're 20, Celeste is 19, Steelwind is 18, I think. Most of the school kids we've met were also around 18. No, 16, 62, whatever. Like, but everyone else, few Animatorian would be like 50. Yeah. But they're working adults.
That covers the Inquisition, but what are we going to do?
It's clear that Lord Freyga's inheritance plays a large role in this case. Even if it's not valid, we should take a look at the modified will that he was drafting. It might give us some insight about what he was really planning to do with his inheritance. Sounds like a plan. Let's look at his study. We haven't checked out everything that is in here, right?
Where is it?
As you enter William Freyga's study, you spot a figure rummaging through the drawers in his desk.
Why isn't it here? Where else would he put it?
Miriam! What? As soon as she notices you, Miriam quickly closes the drawers and walks towards you. You already saw what she was doing. She was definitely looking for something. This is a crime scene. What are you doing here, Miriam? As if that's any of your business. Considering that I'm the prosecutor, it's very, very much my business. Give a side glance to the knights stationed outside the room. They should have stopped her from entering, but perhaps she used her status to intimidate them into letting her through. However, this could be a blessing in disguise. She was clearly looking for something in this room, and you have a feeling you know what it is. Well, we're going to ask. Anyway. Just to make sure. You appear to be looking for something, Miriam. What could be so important that you disturb an active crime scene? It's none of your concern. I'm merely trying to find something that belongs to me. Really? Because I have a feeling that we might be looking for the same thing. You're looking for the will that your father was drafting, aren't you?
That's... Were you trying to destroy it before you could get to it? No, of course not. I just needed to see it for myself. Did she really do this?
Oh! Oh, there's a little mistake here. Whenever she's blinking, there's no filter over it. She also suspicious of Beatrice. Why are you so determined to see the draft of the will, Miss Freyga?
I just wanted to see what my father's final wishes were. But your father already had a will filed previously. Wouldn't that be enough?
You also suspect something, don't you?
Of course not. Beatrice would never do something like this.
Miss Freyga, I never even mentioned Beatrice. I know how things may look, but please understand, I'm just trying to get to the truth. I don't think your sister did this, but she may have been involved. She may have worked with someone else to orchestrate her father's death. Unlikely if she didn't immediately deny it. This means that she already had her own suspicions. Where's the will, Miriam? I need to see it. I don't know. I haven't been able to find it. You recall that she was frantically searching William's desk earlier. She's probably telling the truth. It should have been here, but I can't find it. He locked the door when he began drafting it. In addition to that, the Inquisition closed the area off after the body was discovered. That means that someone took it during the lockdown. On the night of the murder, William Frege retreated into his study to modify his will. He died before his will could be submitted, so it's not valid. The draft was supposedly stolen during the lockdown. It's likely that the murderer took and/or destroyed it. It was probably stolen by whoever murdered him, right? Yeah, that would make the most sense. Which means that whoever did this wanted to nullify whatever was written on it. It's looking more and more like the motive behind this was William's inheritance. Anyway, so it looks like we won't be able to find the will. But the fact that it was taken must imply something. For now, we should follow our other leads. It's also the question of who committed the murder and how. Now we already know the how. The murderer stole the sword of spell eating and used it to break into the study. It's true, but think about how they would have needed to move around the manor. The murder took place on the first floor within William Frege's study. But the gallery was on the second floor. They would have needed to go upstairs, steal the sword from the gallery, and then use it to nullify the lock on the study. Not only that, they would have needed to go back upstairs and plant the sword in Beatrice's room. About that, if someone conspired with Beatrice to do this, why would they plant a sword in her room? That's a good point. Perhaps they had a falling out. Her partner might have tried to betray her by pinning the blame on her. But if that were true, why wouldn't she just sell them out and make a deal with Steelwind? It would be because of the Slayer rule. Slayer rule? I remember the guy at the will reading also mentioned that. What is it? It was a law passed by the Crown centuries ago. According to the law, if someone is involved in another person's death, even accidentally, they will not be allowed to inherit the deceased's property. So even if Beatrice wasn't directly responsible, she'd lose her cut of the inheritance if she took a plea deal. More importantly, it doesn't sound like Miriam completely believes in Beatrice's innocence either. If that's true, what else can she tell you? Miriam, it almost sounds like you suspect Beatrice as well. Am I incorrect? I don't know what to think anymore. Why else would she threaten me? Threaten you? She was threatened? Miriam, did Beatrice threaten you in some way? What? Of course not. Your testimony yesterday was quite convenient for their defense. It almost got the whole case thrown out. And Leif didn't seem to understand what was going on either. But the way she gave her testimony yesterday, it was almost like she was covering for you. Does he seriously not know? Please, promise me that you won't tell anyone about this. I won't tell anyone. What happened? About an hour after the murder, I was approached by Ruby Tamora. She gave me a list of statements to give in my testimony. The statements weren't true, but she assured me that my status would protect me from any scrutiny. What? She had information that I tried to keep secret, and she threatened to make it public unless I cooperated with her. No, she would never do that. I'm telling the truth. Please, you can tell Tamora that I told you she ruined me. The eye shows that her fear is genuine. She's not lying. Yeah. Rumors, that can't be true. You refuse to believe it. Hey, Tyrion, are you okay? Now's not the time to doubt yourself. There's too much at stake right now, and you have a job to do. Ooh, why do I keep doing this? We should check on Commander White. He might have found something. Okay. Just don't push yourself, okay? Yeah. You'd have plenty of time to think about this later. So either Amanda dies or she is going to backstab us in some way or another. Let's see. As you move around the manor, you peek into the sitting room to see Von Sanctus is still there. You don't see him there, but you spot another individual. Who the hell are you? He's calmly reading some sort of book, but you can feel a menacing aura emanating from him. You must be daft if you think I would notice your presence. Did he notice you? You barely entered the room. Before you have a chance to respond, the man pulls out his great axe and rushes towards you. Wait, You bring up your arms to block his blow, but in hindsight, that probably won't do much against an axe at large. Tegus. Tegus? Ooh. You open your eyes. Celeste is now standing between you and the axe-wielding maniac. You're not sure what happened, but it looks like she knocked him several feet backward. Oh, it's you two.
What the hell was that? You could have killed him.
You shouldn't have snuck up on me like that. I almost cleaved him in two.
Tyrion didn't do anything wrong. Who the hell do you think you are?
I am Lord Lucius Stewin, Grand General of the Vivengard Military Forces. Aha! Oh! That's Stewin's dad! That's not how I expected Stewin's father to look like, not gonna lie.
Is a very cool sprite for her, yes.
This is Prosecutor Stewin's father. They do share the same intimidating stare. I do think that he is more intimidating than her, though. Like, hello? Although he's not the most menacing person in the room right now. Celeste, it's fine. I'm not hurt. She looks more than irate right now, but she begrudgingly sheathes her sword. Anyways, Lord Stewin was one of the people with the motive to murder William Frege. As a fellow head of a pillar house, he might have some information about William and his affairs. He might. He might have something. It looks good, kill. McCoy, one might misinterpret that look of yours as murderous intent.
Guess you do have some battle instincts after all. I honestly wasn't sure since you so obviously have a silver spoon stuck up your...
Celeste. Such lack of respect and discipline. If you're one of my soldiers, I have you hanged.
If I was one of your soldiers, I'd hang myself.
Okay, let's all try to stay civil here. Lord Stewin, you were here at the Lord's Ball when the murder occurred, am I correct? I was.
Do you mind if I ask you some questions about what you saw that night?
If that's okay with you. I suppose I must oblige, considering that my daughter so unceremoniously trusts her responsibilities onto you.
Oh! Talk to me then.
I'm sorry about what happened to your daughter. I'm sure that you're very worried. I saw on fault for exerting yourself despite her injuries. Even the bravest warriors knows when to stay off the battlefield.
When you say that, your daughter was trying to do the right thing.
By prosecuting the heirs of House Frege, she had very little evidence to substantiate a conviction. If she wanted to strike a blow on a rival house, she should have been certain that her enemy would fall. But now, if Beatrice Frege is found innocent, any hopes of an alliance between House Frege and House Stewin will be completely annihilated. It's clear that he and the prosecutor have vastly different priorities.
But were you throughout the night, Lord Stewin?
I so loathe gatherings like that. They're a complete waste of time. I was in this room, but then I received word that Lord Frege's lost heiress had made an unexpected appearance. She was supposedly speaking with the Crown Prince, so I made my way to the ballroom.
You speak with them at any point?
No, I kept my distance and stayed near the King's Guard. I needed to make sure she wouldn't try anything.
Was this because you were wary of Beatrice Frege?
Yes, I was. Crown Prince has always been a bleeding heart, and the Freges are trained to sharpen their tongue from birth. I needed to make sure that she wouldn't try to interfere with the engagement.
You were worried that she was going to try to take Asta back?
I was, but it was clear that wasn't her intention.
But you did overhear the conversation? What were they talking about?
The conversation was completely inane. It was all just small talk. Lady Frege spent most of her time playing with Prince Alaric.
Right, yeah, Asta's younger brother was there too.
You know that Beatrice had some role in the murder, even if she wasn't directly responsible. She had some unknown goal by speaking with Esther and his brother.
You went to the ballroom when you heard that Beatrice had returned. Was this before or after the lockdown?
It was before the lockdown.
Sounds about right. This means that she was accounted for before the theft was reported.
And did you see her leave at any point? No, she spoke with the two princes for quite a while. She didn't leave the site until she was arrested for Lord Frege's murder.
That means she was accounted for the entire night.
Oh.
Beatrice Frege was seen speaking with Asta the Vivengard and Alaric the Vivengard during the Lord's Ball. She spent the entire night speaking with them. She was also accounted for before the Sword of Spell even was reported missing. Lucius Stewin, Asta, and several members of the King's Guard can confirm this. But I thought she was an accomplice in William's death. She dared to distract the King's Guard.
Thank you for answering our questions, Lord Stewin. I'm merely repaying my daughter's debt to you.
It
surprisingly pretty cooperative, but it doesn't lift any suspicion off of him just yet. You need to find more evidence if you want to know for sure. Okay. You should probably move somewhere else. Let's go, Celeste. McCoy. What? Your spellcasting is undisciplined, but your battle sense and reflexes are commendable. You have my respect as a warrior. If that means anything coming from you. What an undisciplined, defined brat.
As if that means anything.
Ooh. Keep it in a corner, don't let it get away.
Get away from him.
As you enter Beatrice's room, you see the Inquisition cornering something near the back of the room. It's some sort of animal, a wolf to be exact. Is that... You recall spotting that same wolf on the night of the Lord's Ball? Has it been in the house since the murder? Intruders must protect Queen. What? Did you just read his thoughts? Protect territory from enemies. You must see the Inquisition as intruders in his territory. Doesn't mean he sees his room as his home. You slowly start to walk towards him. Wait, Tyrion? Stay back, kid. It's a wild animal. There's no telling what it will do. You ignored him and continue to approach him. Don't worry. I'm not here to hurt you. It's human. You can speak language of dog. Wait, you can understand me? Why are you talking to it? You're speaking plain dog. Of course Trek I understand. What's going on here? Is the Eye of Horus allowing you to speak with him? You've never really tried it before, but perhaps your powers aren't limited to humans. Anyways, this could be a good opportunity. You wonder what else he knows. Trekker! Trekker, is that your name?
How do you...
Yes, Trekker is Trekker. That's the name Queen gave to...
Give to me? Trekker is my occupation. Dog.
Trekker gets to leave when he mentions his queen. He called you his queen. Do you know him? Yes, but how... How are you talking to it? That's... You were so caught up in speaking to Trekker you didn't realize how strange the scene must look to everyone else. I'm a dog whisperer. You've never mentioned that before. Do you honestly expect us to believe something like that? But Trekker says you can understand him. He told me himself. Wait, how do you know that? Dog is a good occupation. So Leaf, how are you able to communicate with Trekker? A long-awaited sequel to AA's parrot, a dog witness. The prosecution calls the dog to the stand. Heel, boy. I suppose there's no sense in hiding it anymore. Trekker's my familiar. Familiar? So it's the same magical bond Harold has with his monkey. You call that the familiar bond spell allows the caster to telepathically speak with the familiar. That must be how she's speaking to him. You never mentioned him during questioning. It wasn't relevant to the investigation. And I've been keeping him a secret from my family. I suppose that makes sense. I doubt William Frigga would have allowed you to keep an animal in his home. Well, I don't appreciate you keeping this info from us. But it doesn't look like anyone got hurt. And aside from this dog, we haven't really found anything new. Damn it. I didn't find any more physical evidence of the theft. Looks like you've run into another dead end. Unless... Trekker, quick, gimme the code for the very real Oh, what's the word? Save that is somewhere in this house. Trekker, I saw you on the night of the murder. What? Trekker. He's supposed to stay in this room. Wait, is that why you won't allow the servants to enter it? I didn't want to keep him in Beatrice's room, but he was very insistent that he stay here. Trekker likes the ambience. Right. Wait, if you live in his room, did you see who brought the sword of spell eating here? I already asked him about that, but he didn't see anyone. He must have been taking a nap. I thought he was roaming outside even though I told him to stay here. The fucking face! Damn it.
see a lot of other things, though. Tracker see many new people that night. Right, he was roaming the manor during the Lord's Ball. He must have seen a lot of new people. If he was walking around, he might have seen something that the Inquisition doesn't know about. Come on, give me something, dog. Can you tell us what you saw on the night of the murder, Tracker? Tracker see rats. It's maybe more difficult than you thought. I need you to be more specific. Can you go in order? Tell me about everyone that you saw that night. Okay. Tracker was taking a nap in room, but Tracker woke up from loud sounds outside. Tracker hears small things running in the walls. Running in the walls? Tracker called Queen, but she didn't answer, so Tracker decided to check sound alone. Tracker followed sound outside. That's when Tracker smelled a bad smell. Bad smell? That's when Tracker smelled flying rat. You smelled a flying rat? You mean like a pigeon? Tracker could smell where Rat was, so Tracker balked at him. Tracker must have scared Rat because he fell onto the floor and dropped a stick. The rat had a stick. Tracker could see them now, so Tracker did one final bark to scare them off. The rats were scared and went back into the walls. It went into the walls? That's when Tracker picked up the stick Rat dropped. Queen finally answered Tracker. She told him to go back to his room and hide. After a message, Tracker brings Stick back to his room for inspection. You brought the sword here. The stick he's talking about must be the sword. Do you remember what time this encounter happened? What is time? Right, an animal wouldn't really have a concept of that. What did he say, Tyrion? Did he see anything? Well, he definitely saw something. Okay, let's try to take a moment to walk through this. Tracker is an animal, and despite being able to speak with him, his use of words is very primitive. So you should carefully examine each of his statements. The first thing he heard was small things running in the walls. What did Tracker hear when he woke up? You recall that someone else observed something similar that night. Okay. Tracker heard rats running in the vents. Servants are complaining about rats. Yeah, exactly. He must have heard the rats that Jan mentioned. They weren't actually running in the walls, they were running in the vents. The next thing he did was call the Queen, but she didn't answer. Why didn't Leaf answer Tracker's message? The Queen that he's referring to is probably Leaf, but Leaf wasn't with him at the time. He must have called out to her telepathically. Familiar bond was nullified by the anti-magic field. Leaf didn't respond because she never got Tracker's message. The telepathic capabilities granted by familiar bond were disabled by the anti-magic field, which means that this encounter happened during the lockdown. That covers the first two statements, but you're not really sure what to make of the flying rat he saw. Tracker, why did you refer to the rat as flying? Because rats don't usually jump and fly. Maybe he's referring to the monkey. Yeah, I got that. Is it possible that what you saw wasn't really a rat? Rats are rats. They're small things that run and hide. So rat is a general term for him. He uses it to refer to small animals that are acting suspiciously. Anyways, with everything you know now, his last statement doesn't make sense. Why did Tracker finally hear Leaf? He said that the Queen finally answered him, and this happened after he picked up the stick. But that shouldn't have been possible due to the anti-magic field. The stick... Wait, this way. The stick that Tracker obtained was actually the sword of spell eating. Tracker, about that stick you found? Where did you put it after you came back to this room? Tracker hid stick in safe space, under the bed. And this stick, did it look like the sword that my friend is carrying? What? Hey, your friend stole my other stick! Wait, your other stick? Tracker found it while he was hiding from the Metal Man. Metal Man? Is he referring to the King's Guard? He must have left the bedroom when they were searching for the sword of spell eating. Wait, are you the one who stole Celeste's sword? Tracker! Did Tracker do a bad? It's as I suspected. Tracker was the one that bought the sword of spell eating here. What? I have no idea how or why, but the sword of spell eating was lying in a hallway somewhere. Tracker found it and brought it back to Beatrice's room. His room. Can't be. So the person who framed Beatrice for the theft was... If it weren't for Tracker, the Inquisition would have never honed in on Beatrice at all. But why would the sword of spell eating be lying in a random hallway? Leave, do you mind if I borrow Tracker for a little bit?
It's okay, Queen. You smell good. Tracker, trust it.
Thanks, I guess.
Okay, but only if you allow me to accompany you.
You know about Miriam's position, but how does Lee feel about you prosecuting Beatrice? It's possible she might try to sabotage the investigation if you let her accompany you. But as Tracker's owner, you don't really have a choice. You're not to leave. He also sent a subtle geisha to Celeste to keep an eye on her. She silently nods and slowly follows behind her. Alright, Tracker, can you take us to the hallway where you found those rats? Sure thinking. Looks like you've received a promotion! Sure thinking! I fucking love this dog, dude. You allow Tracker to lead you to the location where he found the sword of spell eating. Surprisingly, it's fairly close to Beatrice's room. He apparently didn't travel very far before he met those rats he mentioned. Ooh. As you continue toward your destination, Tracker suddenly becomes extremely tense. Tracker, what's wrong? Enemy. Oh. Before you even have a chance to react, Tracker steps between you and Ernest and begins angrily barking at her. Oh dear. Tracker, stop that. Leaf tries to calm Tracker down, but he's undeterred. He continues to bark at Ares, and it looks like it's taking all of Leaf's strength to hold him back. I'm terribly sorry. He's not usually like this. It's to be expected. I'm not sure why, but animals have always been... Girl? If you don't stop! I'm not sure why, but animals have always disliked me. What is Iris doing here? You recall seeing her at the barracks too. She said that her father's friends with Beatrice, but is she involved in this case somehow? No! Animals have always seen me for what I am. I am very No. There was something there first before she apparently overrode it with her weird glitchiness thing, but I can never, like, see it all. Thank you! I mean, I expect them to have made it that fast so you don't actually manage to read it all, but that's good, thank you. Anyways, you came here for a purpose. You should examine this hallway and see if you can find any clues. Oh, I could talk to her. Let me see. Hi. What are you doing here, Ernest? I should be asking you the same thing. I recall you telling me that you were a defense attorney. Yet here you are prosecuting a defendant. You're even leading the Inquisition that you supposedly hate so much. But to answer your question, I'm here on behalf of Beatrice. My sister? Yes, Tamara is occupied handling other aspects of the case, so she sent me here to investigate on her behalf. What? She would have to trust you a lot to let you handle something so important. How do you two even know each other? You said she was acquainted with your father, but... We met during her days at the Imperial Academy. We both studied illusion magic together. I've always been a patron of hers. It saddens me to see her in this dreadful situation. Uh-huh. I don't trust you, woman. There's an air vent over here. It appears to go from the ceiling to the ground floor. Is this where the rat escaped to, Tracker? That's where the jumping rat went. I thought you said it was a flying rat. Tracker see that too. Okay, well, probably better to just move on. Anyways, where did this rat come from? Rat came out the other wall. Other wall? Do you mean the vent on the opposite side? Yes, Tracker saw a flying rat escape that way. What was this rat doing here in the first place?
Imperio Arcanum.
Imperial Arcanum. What?
What do you see?
The vents have traces of illusion magic inside them. What? The traces also go deep inside these vents. It's the same for the vents on the other side too.
Why would there be traces of illusion magic inside the vents? What spell could have possibly left those traces?
As I told you many months ago, illusion spells tend to do one of two things. They either create a freestanding illusion, or they can disguise an existing creature.
I doubt someone created a small freestanding illusion in the vents, so the disguised creature must have been inside these vents at some point.
But these vents are tiny. No one would be able to fit inside them.
But a rat would be able to fit in these vents.
Well, yeah, I guess that'd be true. But that would mean that the rat had an illusion spell active on it at the time.
It's not only that. He said that the queen finally answered him, and this happened after he picked up his stick. But that shouldn't have been possible because of the anti-magic field. Tracker saw this rat during the lockdown.
They would have been inside the anti-magic field created by the lockdown.
There can only be one way that rat could have an illusion spell active on it.
You can't mean...
That rat was holding the sword of spell eating. On the night of the murder, Tracker smelled something strange and followed the scent to the hallway north of Beatrice's bedroom. There he saw a flying rat come out from the northern air vent. Tracker backed at this rat and scared it away. When this happened, the rat supposedly dropped the sword of spell eating. Tracker took the sword and brought it back to Beatrice's room.
But how is that possible? A rat won't have the strength or hands to carry the sword.
Tracker's vocabulary is primitive and limited. He uses the word rat to describe small creatures that hide and act suspiciously.
Even if it wasn't an actual rat, it still could have been a human, right?
You're right, it would have been a small animal. There's a monkey! We have a monkey involved in this case, hello!
A small animal with the strength and dexterity to traverse a small air vent while holding a sword.
Yeah?
No, are you serious?
We know that Harold had a motive to kill William Frege. He was planning to defund the Heralds and Hall of History. They had an argument that night, and that's when William Frege decided that he was going to defund Harold's museums. He must have struck a deal with Beatrice, and with Beatrice's portion of House Frege, she should have easily kept his museums funded. He could have faked the robbery and sent his familiar to murder William.
I can't believe this.
And there's something else that Tracker said. Yeah. Tracker, you said you had to smell to see where the rat was, and when he dropped the stick you were finally able to see him. Does this mean you couldn't visually see him before he fell down?
Yeah. Tracker couldn't see the rat with his eyes, so Tracker used his nose to see it. The monkey was invisible.
No one would have noticed a small, invisible animal. In addition to that, he moved through the air vents. Eugene would have been nearly undetectable that night. Beatrice is a master of illusion magic, so it's possible she cast invisibility on Eugene. Ah, invisibility. Clap both hands together. Aha! We have seen her clap her hands together. She says it's a... one of the highest forms of illusion magic. This spell makes the target creature or object completely invisible. While invisible, the target will be completely transparent and undetectable visually. If targeting a creature, this spell will also affect anything that the creature is wearing or holding. Occultare. Aha! Occultare. And then there's the position of this air vent. Currently in the hallway just north of Beatrice's room, and this air vent connects to the ground floor. If we align the two floor maps together, this vent must lead to the storage room. Right, the air vent here curved upwards, this must be where it leads. And according to Jan, that air vent led directly to William's study. It would have been the perfect route to enter William's study and leave undetected. But he wouldn't have needed to nullify the lock to enter the room. Why would he need to use a sort of spell eating at all? Because of familiar bonds, they can telepathically communicate with each other. Harold probably needed Eugene to hold the sword so he could tell him exactly where to go. Sword's magic affects anyone magically connected to the wielder, and familiar bond connects them magically. It makes sense now. Harold could have easily faked the robbery to take suspicion off of him. It's even possible that he was lying about how the display glass was shattered.
I've known Lord Haraldson for many years. I just can't believe that he'd be involved in this.
She may have known Harold for a long time, but she's never read his thoughts. His thoughts are very hostile and rude despite his kind expression. He's very good at hiding what he's truly feeling.
And Beatrice, there's no way she'd participate in a plan like this.
Look, Cleve, I know you don't want to suspect your sister, but...
It's not that. Beatrice would never trust anyone enough to work together like this.
She's completely blind. She wouldn't have much of a choice.
Even so, she's not the type of person to trust her accomplices to stay quiet. She'd find a way to carry out a plan herself, and she'd only employ someone else's help if she had full control of them.
Cleve probably knows her better than you do, but you doubt that working alone would be possible with her condition. And you can't think of any other way she'd be involved in this.
Anyways, we're finished here, aren't we?
Yes, thank you for lending Tracker to us, Lee.
I only want to help you find out what really happened. Don't make me regret trusting you, Mr. Cuthbert.
If you're truly on the side of justice, then you won't.
Good. Now, if you excuse me. So that's it, right? We finally know who really committed the murder then.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
If you can get Harold to confess on the stand, he might reveal Beatrice's involvement as well. If he does that, you might be able to convince her and Mr. Mora to take a plea deal. A ghostly investigation? Ah, good! We have a new suspect, though I'm not quite sure whether we've already really found out how it went. But we shall see. Although knowing Mr. Mora, that will be easier said than done. Anyway, so it's definitely the lead that we've been looking for.
Is it really though? We still don't have any physical evidence.
It'll have to do for now, we're running out of time. But just have to call Harold to the stand to testify about what he did that night. If I can push him far enough, I might be able to catch him lying. But you doubt it will be that easy. He has a good poker face. Just how much will he be able to hide his true thoughts? I already gave my statement to the Inquisition. Is my testimony really necessary? I don't know, dude, but have you always had this ring on your finger? Sorry, old-timer. My orders come straight from the prosecutor. We're going to need you on the stand today. I understand. I'll do what I can to help. Oh. Court is now resumed for the trial of Beatrice Frege. Let us review yesterday's proceedings.
Legal adventure.
There was much debate over William Frege's inheritance. More specifically, it was unknown whether the defendant had any claim to her father's inheritance. This detail was crucial in determining whether the defendant even had a motive to commit the murder. Luckily, the victim's will was supposedly read earlier today and is now part of the public record. What were the results of the will reading, Mr. Cuthbert? William Frege was planning to leave all of his assets to Jaden von Sanctis, his hopeful son-in-law. However, this was predicated on the condition that Jaden marry the victim's daughter, Leaf. And it's clear that Miss Leaf will never follow through on this engagement. If the engagement is not made in 6 months, William Frege's assets would be divided among his 3 daughters. I see. So there was no mention of the defendant's disinheritance. Correct, Your Honor. This means that the defendant did have something to gain from the victim's death. Your Honor, despite the confusion around the victim's inheritance, there's still very little physical evidence that implicates my client. May I remind you that Miriam Frege was not telling the truth in yesterday's proceedings? That itself is extremely suspect. And William Frege was clearly not above manipulation and lying. You can't prove that she knowingly gave false testimony. I'll admit that I can prove that. I'll also admit that there's a lack of apparent physical evidence to substantiate our case. Which is why the prosecution would like to call Harold Haraldson to the stand. Lord Haraldson? The sort of spell eating clearly plays a large role in the murder, and it's served as one of the few pieces of physical evidence in this case. As the gallery's curator, I believe he can further elaborate on how the sword was stolen that night. More specifically, you can find out about what he did on the night of the murder. I see. Well, the court would definitely benefit from his insight. Bailiff, please escort Lord Haraldson to the stand. Would I ever study law instead? Absolutely not. Do I look like... No. The reason I'm enjoying myself so much with these games is because, especially in the case of this, with it being like magic and stuff, and also with Ace Attorney, where it's just a wild mix of different legal systems, is because I can suspend my disbelief of if that would actually work. You know, I do enjoy series and games that touch upon lawyers and stuff. Like, I also really enjoyed, fuck, what was it called? Hold on. The K-drama Extra Attorney Woo. Specifically because it also dealt with an attorney. More specifically, an autistic attorney. She was very good. But I don't think I would enjoy studying this kind of thing for myself. No, let's see. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. course. My name is Harold Harrelson. I'm the owner and curator of the Harrelson Hall of History located in Homhered. That's quite the alliterative occupation. Harold, could you please testify to the court about how you discovered that the sword of spell eating was stolen? If it will help. I find it interesting that we don't know his age. Like, pretty much everyone else, we immediately just have it in there, but for him, we don't even get an age. I was keeping an eye on my gallery's exhibits when I realized that my familiar hadn't returned. I called to him telepathically, but he didn't respond. I became worried, so I went around the manor to search for him. About an hour later, I returned to the gallery and discovered that the exhibit that held the sword of spell eating was completely destroyed. The artifact was missing, so I reported the crime to the knights at the ball and they activated a discreet lockdown. Luckily, we found the sword and my familiar later that night. So you went to search for your monkey, and that's why you didn't witness the theft? Yes, the thief was probably waiting for me to leave. He must have wanted to commit the crime without anyone seeing that. Or his testimony is completely full of it. His search for Eugene must have been a cover that he's using to hide his actions that night. So how do you prove that? Oh, cross-examining him. How did you end up finding him later that night, actually? The statement just now is missing some details, but what details should you ask him to elaborate on? How did you find Eugene? How did you eventually find Eugene that night? After an hour of silence, he finally responded to my telepathic messages. He met up with me in the gallery before we went to search for the sword, because, like, what doesn't make sense is, why would he not be responding to the telepathic messages if the lockdown wasn't in place yet? Right? There shouldn't have been anything in the way blocking the magic. Yet. That came after the sword was stolen, right? After the lockdown was in place. So this would have been after the theft was reported. Yes. He would have had to pick up Eugene after he murdered Lord Frege. This must be the alibi they're using to account for the time that no one could see Eugene. Anyways, this detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, witness. Harold. Yes, of course, Harold. He says he went around the manor to look for Eugene. Do you think he's telling the truth? Maybe, but a so-called search for Eugene gave him a good excuse to not be seen by anyone. It's a decent alibi, if not without its flaws. Just need to poke some holes. Yeah. An Icelandic person could be named Harold Harrelson? Wait, actually. Harold Godwinson? No? Harold Harrelson. Harold was the son of Harold II. Harold Godwinson. No? I'm specifically searching for Harold Harrelson. I am finding a Harold Harrelson on LinkedIn. Oh my god. Harold Harrelson. No, but that doesn't look like an actual profile. That looks like... Oh, wait, there is a Harold Harrelson who works somewhere in New York, though. Harrelson, yeah. There seems to be an actual Harold, like with an A. Harold Harrelson. Somewhere on LinkedIn. Oh, that's interesting. Director XR Collaboratory at Cornell Tech in New York. Specialties 3D interaction design, AR, VR engineering, prototyping. Oh, interesting. There's also a Harold Harrelson in the Romuald the Reindeer wiki. Okay, that sounds specific. Goodness. That's certainly a name. Okay, let's see. Eugene finally responded to your telepathic messages, met up with him in the gallery room before they finally found the artifact. Wait, where is it? The lockdown, the lockdown, the lockdown, the lockdown, the lockdown, the lockdown. There it is. Objection! Something like son of. Yeah. I think so as well. Son of X and Y, whatever. Harold, you found Eugene before you went to search for the sort of spell eating? This would mean that happened while the lockdown was still active, am I correct? Yes, as much as I was worried about the artifact, Eugene's safety was far more important. That's the thing, Harold. You said that after hours of silence, you finally received a telepathic message back from Eugene. What? So that at least one question. How did you communicate with Eugene telepathically if you were both within an anti-magic field? What? Harold, in response to the theft, the King's Guard activated a lockdown system to prevent anyone from leaving. The same lockdown system would have placed an anti-magic field over every inch of that manor. The field should have suppressed the telepathic abilities given to you by familiar bond. You wouldn't have been able to speak with Eugene at all. Mr. Cuthbert, are you accusing the witness of lying in his testimony? Please, Cuthbert is blowing this entire thing out of proportion. Anti-magic field is a resource-intensive spell. We can't assume that it managed to cover every inch of the manor, especially the areas that would only be accessible to a small animal. Mr. Mora, let's assume that Eugene managed to reach some sort of blind spot in the lockdown system. The magical telepathy granted by familiar bond connects two people. Even if Eugene wasn't affected by the anti-magic field, Harold would be. It's very true. So how did I hear him that night? There's only one answer that makes sense, Harold. You did hear Eugene telepathically, because Eugene was wielding the sword of spell eating. What? I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but are you saying that the sword of spell eating was stolen by the witness's pet monkey? I am, Your Honor. It's the only way the witness's testimony makes sense. She doesn't have a rebuttal. You should push this while you still have a chance. Harold Haraldson, you were the one who stole the sword of spell eating, weren't you? And what reason would I have to steal something that already belongs to me? It was to take suspicion off of you, because you were the one who had William Frigga killed. You staged a robbery and used the sword of spell eating to make Eugene invisible. Then you sent him through the manor's ventilation system, also you could have murdered William Frigga in his study. Well done, Cuthbert. I suppose you just can't stop yourself from pursuing a lying witness. It's what I do best, Mr. Mora. Of course. Witness, do you have anything to say in your defense? It's quite obvious, but I completely refute the prosecution's allegations. He's misguided, but he's just doing his job. We're expecting his thoughts to be hostile like before. Then do you also refute your statement about Eugene telepathically speaking with you? I know better than to lie on the stand to try to save myself. I can't explain how it happened, but I stand behind my testimony. Eugene did telepathically contact me during the lockdown, but how did he do it? Oh, so he doesn't know how the telepathic communication happened. Perhaps he overlooked it when he was planning the murder with Beatrice. He's not the murderer. What's your position, Cuthbert, that the witness sent a monkey to murder William Frigga? It may sound ridiculous, but it's the only thing that makes sense. Do you have any evidence to refute that, Mr. Mora? No, I fully and wholeheartedly agree with you, Cuthbert. Wait. Tyrion? Mr. Cuthbert, did you forget that you're prosecuting Beatrice Frigga? Your Honor, even as a prosecutor, it's clear that Cuthbert just can't stop himself from finding the true culprit. Wait, I also meant to say the defendant conspired with the witness to commit the crime. Oh, really? And do you have any proof of this conspiracy to commit? Of course you don't. Even so, let's assume that you did have evidence to prove your statement. If this was really a plot formed by my client and the witness, what would my client even contribute to this plan? From what you said, this plot was completely carried out by Lord Haraldson and his familiar. Well, the glass! He would have needed a powerful mage like the defendant to break the sword's display case and stage the robbery. So her contribution to the murder was breaking some glass? Can you prove that my client shattered the display case? And can you prove that she did so knowing that it would somehow lead to her father's death? You might have gotten a little too eager to prove Harold's guilt. Physical evidence against my client was almost non-existent in the first place. Meanwhile, it seems the prosecution has just brought forward physical evidence that implicates Lord Haraldson. Physical evidence that is supported by his own testimony. There has to be some explanation for this. Cuthbert, didn't you ask me something yesterday? If my client didn't kill the victim, then who did? I suppose I should thank you for finding the answer. Damn it. All you did was make it more difficult to prove your case. But Harold has to be involved in this. You weren't wrong about that. Only Eugene would be small enough to traverse the airlands. So isn't there anything else you can use? With the threat of indictment, Harold must be stressed. It's gotten you out of tight spots before. Maybe you can find the evidence in his mind. You can use every trick you have, Cuthbert. It won't help you. Ignore her. Calm your mind and focus the eye of horrors on him.
Yeah? Thank you.
Cat is also trying to help us find the culprit. We have to find something, anything that might tie the murder to Beatrice.
Naught can remain concealed.
Let's see. Okay. Have you think about the sword? I believe that one of my artifacts was used to commit a murder. It's completely disrespectful to the culture and history behind it. What? He's speaking as if he truly had no hand in this. That can't be true, can it? It can. Yes. It's really a shame that Beatrice was driven to flee from her own family. If only I'd introduced myself to her, perhaps we could have found a solution together. He doesn't know Beatrice. How? She planned to murder with him. Unless... Eugene, just what were you doing that night? Did you really wield the sword if only for a brief moment? Wait, he should have known exactly where Eugene was that night. Why would his thoughts say that? What's going on? He's speaking as if he really had no hand in this. You can guard yourself from the eye of horrors, but you can't lie to it. And if that's true, were you wrong about Harold's involvement? Is he really innocent? See anything, Cuthbert? Your Honor, it's clear that the prosecution has nothing left to argue. There's very little evidence implicating my client, and there's a far more likely suspect in front of us right now. Yes, I must agree, Mr. Morrow. At the very least, I see no reason to prolong this trial any longer. Wait! Beatrice couldn't have personally done this. Discounting the fact that she's completely blind, she was within the two princes for most of the night. So who actually killed William Frege in his study? Think about this. The reason why you suspected Harold in the first place was because of what Tracker said. He uses the word rat to describe a small animal. Tracker definitely saw some kind of animal. Was it someone else's familiar? Who did Tracker see in the air then? Eugene! We don't know of any other familiars. We cannot start coming up with, oh, he must have seen someone else. He must have seen Eugene. It had to have been Eugene. Tracker found a sword in that hallway. And Eugene couldn't have communicated with Harold unless the sword protected both of them from the anti-magic field. Why? Did Eugene just happen to be in that hallway? It also doesn't explain why the sword of spell eating was even there. Tracker said that Eugene came out of the air vent on one side of the hallway, then he fled into the air vent on the other side. Even for a small monkey, those vents would be extremely cramped. He wouldn't have entered those vents out of mere curiosity. Why was Eugene in the air vents? You know now that Harold didn't participate in the murder, but did he know about what Eugene was doing last night? Maybe Eugene was acting of their own free will, yeah. Eugene was acting of his own free will. That's the explanation that makes the most sense. How and why? Harold is the only person that is magically connected to Eugene, and even if Beatrice somehow got Eugene to follow her orders, she wouldn't have been able to direct his actions telepathically. Beatrice couldn't use any other conjuration spell to contact him either. She was also in the anti-magic field when she was with Esther, so if Eugene was the one who murdered William Frege, was he acting independently? Can't be possible. How could Eugene have carried out his plan independently? His plan required knowledge of Frege Manor's ventilation system. It also involved murdering William during the lockdown and destroying his will. Eugene might be smart for a monkey, but a normal monkey would have known how to identify and destroy William's will. Even if Beatrice had somehow trained him to do all this beforehand. Eugene wore the armbands of intellect. A very smart monkey. Couldn't be. Yep. You look at the glass case where the armbands used to be. didn't... Yeah. Only... Yeah, Harold would know the password, but obviously Eugene would know it as well. Someone could have overheard him saying it. Someone that's constantly looking over his shoulder. You've made some ridiculous statements in the past, but there's no way the judge will even entertain this theory. You have to be smart about this. Your Honor, I think there's one more witness that can clear up this discrepancy once and for all. I believe he can prove the prosecution's case to the court. Really? I frankly find that hard to believe. Please trust me, Your Honor. There's an element to this that we all aren't seeing. And it's one that no one will believe. What do you have planned now? Very well. I will give you one last chance, Mr. Cuthbert. But know that if your next witness fails to unveil any new information, I won't hesitate to end this trial. I understand, Your Honor. So I'm going to need you to bear with me for a moment. Why? Your Honor, the defense calls Eugene Harrelson to the stand. The music doesn't even really start. Never mind, I'll retract my earlier statement. I'll be passing my verdict. Wait, just bear with me for a moment. Mr. Cuthbert, I should find you in contempt for even suggesting this. Do you honestly think I'll allow a monkey to give testimony in my courtroom? Yeah, it sounds pretty out there, even for us. I'd like to remind the court of the nature of Harold's bond with Eugene. Eugene is a familiar. This means that Harold Harrison can speak with him telepathically. But this is absolutely... Show me the law that says an animal can give testimony, Your Honor. It may be unprecedented, but it's not against the law. Very well. Your Honor, you can't be serious right now? Are you actually going along with this? Well, Mr. Mora, I'm looking for any possible reason not to entertain this. But Mr. Cuthbert has a point. There are no laws against this proposal. So I have no choice but to oblige his frankly insane actions for now. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. It's not as if this will reveal anything. I can't believe I'm saying this, but... Bailiff, please escort Lord Harrelson's monkey to the stand. That's great. I love that. That's even better. That's even better. Witness, please state your name and occupation to the court. I could do without the sarcasm, Mr. Moore.
Eugene is Eugene Monkey.
Bailiff, make sure the stenographer gets Harrelson's translations. You can see the elements on him right now. He must be at his normal intelligence now. Although how would he even wear them? Perhaps he held them in his hands. They only require physical contact after all. Or maybe he's wearing them around his neck. Eugene, did you steal from the gallery on the night of the murder?
Eugene never steal from Harold. Eugene respect Harold.
Then you have no problem testifying about where you went during the Lord's ball. I can't believe I let you convince me to permit this.
What game? I have to prosecute a monkey right now. A monkey. A monkey. A monkey. Eugene explore house. Eugene look for new place to play. Eugene also look for spiders. Spiders yum yum. Think Eugene steal almonds of intellect. Eugene never steal from Harold. Harold friend. Eugene always Harold's friend. Abe strong together.
Oh, you did it, Cuthbert. You blew this case wide open. Is this really going to help us? Look, you just have to trust me on this. I trust you? That sentence sounds like it turned into a question at the end. I trust you? Yeah.
Objection!
Wait a minute. Eugene, I asked you before if you stole anything from Harold's gallery.
Eugene no. Eugene would never steal from Harold.
Cuthbert, don't waste our time by having him repeat that statement. That's the thing, Mr. Mora. That's not the same statement he made in his testimony. I asked the witness if he stole an artifact from the gallery. I never mentioned the armaments of intellect. What are you talking about now? The witness lacks the understanding to differentiate between the artifacts. It was clearly just a simple mistake. It's not just the fact that he named the wrong artifact, Mr. Mora. It's the fact that he used its actual name. I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean, Mr. Cuthbert. Your Honor, animals can't speak the same way that humans do. Even when a telepathic link is established, their vocabulary is extremely limited. Right, Draco called the sort of spell eating a stick before. It was hard to understand what he really meant. Exactly. So that raises the question, how did Eugene know they were called the Armaments of Intellect? How did he know? The armaments were stolen during the Lord's Ball and replaced with a well-made replica. Where are the Armaments of Intellect right now? If he had worn the armaments when he was sneaking through the vents, he would have never had the opportunity to put them back. And the armaments are still missing. Eugene is wearing the armbands this moment. Can be. Is he really? The armaments were designed to be worn by humans, so Eugene couldn't wear them on his arms. So where would he wear them? You initially thought that he carried them in his hands, but there's a far simpler explanation. Eugene, do you still maintain that you didn't steal the armaments of intellect? Eugene told you already, Eugene never steals from Harold. Then I suppose you wouldn't mind taking off your hat. Look at that fucking spread! I'm losing my mind. Are you serious right now? You don't think he's wearing them right now, do you? It's the only thing that makes sense. The armaments were taken on the night of the murder and they are still missing. If Eugene did indeed steal the armaments that night, he would have never had the opportunity to return them. He had no choice but to continue wearing them until the investigation was over. This is absolutely ridiculous. You're spinning a fairy tale. Do you honestly expect us to believe that a monkey increased its intellect beyond human limits? If I'm wrong, the witness can easily refute my theory by removing his hat. Well, what's it going to be, Eugene? You see him fully break character, and he slowly but silently lifts his hat. No, you can't be serious. Everyone can see it plainly. He's wearing the armaments like a crown around his tiny head. From out of his hat, you see him pull out something else. What the fuck?
Hold on, Mr. Cuthbert. I shouldn't have underestimated you.
You...
Serious? This is probably a blessing in disguise. I don't think I could bear debasing myself any longer.
Objection, Your Honor. On what grounds, Mr. Mora? On what grounds? Everything about the situation is objectionable. It's downright absurd. Is he seriously Beatrice's accomplice? Mr. Mora, we can't deny what's clearly in front of us. I was not ready for today. How is he even talking right now? Scholars believe that humans and apes evolved from a common ancestor. Perhaps all apes can speak the common language under the right circumstances. Evolved? Please, I've observed your society. I think calling humanity evolved is being quite generous. This can't be happening. Oh, are you all done gawking at me like a bunch of simpletons? Simpletons? Wait a minute. Oh, we were seeing his thoughts! Every insulting thought that you've seen from Harold, they weren't Harold's thoughts at all. They were Eugene's thoughts. He's been wearing the armaments since you first met. I still don't understand. Why would he even take the armaments in the first place? I'll admit that the Lord's Ball was one of many occasions. The first time I touched him was due to sheer chance.
Why do I keep giving him a different voice? Ah!
You put them on by accident. My unawake self was enamored by its glittering sheen. I merely wanted to touch them, but when I first held them in my hands, I experienced a sense of clarity that I'd never felt before. I was afraid of what I'd experienced, so I left them alone. But as I returned to my primitive lifestyle, I couldn't stop thinking about what I felt that day. You were hooked. I wouldn't quite phrase it like that, but I suppose you're not wrong. I already knew the password to Harold's vault, so I'd come in from time to time and indulge in the armament's power. But the more time I spent with my awakened intellect, the more I craved its power when I had to put them away. And that's when you made the replica. While no one was watching, I devised a plan to discreetly take the armbands. Harold would have eventually discovered that they were stolen, but he would have concluded that a noble from the Lord's Ball took them, because of the pressure that he was receiving from the crown. I'm not proud of what I've done, but I never expected things to reach this point. I didn't expect someone to steal a sword of spell eating as well. But I certainly didn't expect a murder to happen that night. So you still maintain that you're innocent? Of course I do. I stole the armaments, but I did not murder William Frigga, nor did I take the sword of spell eating. Allow me to elaborate. Hell yeah, please. I'll admit that I took the armaments and replaced them with a replica, but it was not the crook who stole the sword of spell eating. The deaths were completely different from one another. The display case for the sword was completely shattered. I spotted the sword when I was exploring the manor. It was lying in the middle of a hallway. I wondered why such an important artifact would be lying there, so I took a closer look to inspect it. That's when I heard Harold call out to me telepathically. The sword must have protected me and Harold from the anti-magic field. I wanted to take the sword and return it, but a wild dog chased me away from the scene. Okay. No, the telepathic thing would still not have worked out. Just because he picked up the sword. If the lockdown in and of itself was still in place. He has a point. He didn't need to shatter the display case of the sword. Yeah, he already knew the passwords. Tracker said that Eugene was the one who dropped the sword. Furthermore, he escaped into the air vent that led into William's study. His actions that night were definitely not as innocent as his testimony implies. He must have lied somewhere. But that location was near the Frigga's bedrooms. Don't tell me that you... What do you take me for? I know what a bedroom looks like and I'd never enter one uninvited. Then why were you there in the first place? I was coming back from the rooftop garden, but I suddenly felt something interfering with the armand's magic. The anti-magic fields. Yes, I was worried that something had happened, so I made my way back to the gallery to meet up with Harold. Let's see, could you add this to your testimony? Very well. I wonder what... It's lying in the middle of... I was on a bike back from the rooftop garden to the gallery. Rooftop garden.
Objection!
Eugene, I'm sure you're well aware of this, but the best way to lie is to hide a false detail within many truths. And what are you trying to insinuate, Mr. Cuthbert? You said that you were heading from the terrace to the gallery. Did you take any detours? Of course not. With the armaments nullified, my intelligence was slowly fading. I wanted to return to Harold as soon as possible. Witness, I'd like for you to take a look. Oh my god! That train... What? Louder and louder, what the hell? I'd like for you to take a look at this floor map of Frigga Manor. And this is the location where the wild dog found the sword of spell eating. So tell me, Eugene, how did you spot the sword of spell eating? When it was hidden in the hallway north of Beatrice's room. Yes. Why are you nitpicking such an insignificant statement? You probably just got distracted and went down the wrong hallway. Mr. Mora, Eugene came from the rooftop garden, and he was adamant that he went directly to the gallery to reunite with Harold. Even if his intellect was muddled, he was intent on reuniting with his worried companion. He definitely took the direct route, but if he did, he would never have been able to see into that hallway. I see your point, Mr. Cuthbert. Well, what does this mean? It means that the witness lied about where he was before he discovered the sword of spell eating. He wasn't coming from the rooftop garden. He came from the air vents in that specific hallway. So why were you in that hallway, Eugene? You lied in your testimony. Was it because you wanted to hide what you were really doing that night? I admitted, Eugene, you snuck through the air vents to avoid detection. Then you used the air vent in that hallway to break into William's study. After that, you murdered him using his letter opener, didn't you? It's not what I wanted to do. Oh. I didn't mean... Huh? Goodness, is this true? Did you break into William Frigga's study during the lockdown? Yes, I did enter his study, but not for the reason you think. William Frigga was already dead when I got there. What? What did you just say? It's true. Do you honestly expect us to believe a story like that? How could someone else have killed the victim before you got there? Tracker took the sword of spell eating, and you were the only intelligent creature that could walk through the air vents. I understand how unbelievable and suspicious it sounds. Why do you think I lied in the first place? It's the truth, Mr. Cuthbert. You have to believe me. You don't see any contradicting thoughts to the eye, but that hardly absolves him of guilt. But could he really be telling the truth? If that's true, that only brings you back to the one question you've been asking since this all began. Who the hell killed William Frege in the first place? My god. Who really did this? Okay, Eugene, let's assume you're telling the truth. Do you actually believe me? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. You're still my only suspect for this. But I know better than anyone about jumping to conclusions, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for now. I see. However, if you want to absolve yourself, I need you to tell me about what you really saw that night. There might be something, anything, that might point to who really did this. Very well. I'll tell you what I saw. Although I doubt you believe me. Ooh. I discreetly made my way to the hallway through another air vent. I exited the air vent in the hallway and tried to leap to the other side. I'm not sure if it was my waning intelligence or my desperation, but I collided with something that I didn't see. I fell to the ground and found a sword of spell-eating laying next to me. I wanted to retrieve the sword, but the wild dog forced me to retreat. After that, I continued to make my way to the study. And see? That's the thing. Earlier, we were like, oh, he must have been like, when Tracker said the jumping rat and the flying rat. Those are two separate things, and also he said the flying rat went into the one vent and the jumping rat into the other. I don't think he was referring to the same thing, because why would he use two different words for the same thing? I think there was someone else there. Tracker's like, oh, I didn't see what it was, but I barked at it. And now Eugene is saying he collided with something he didn't see. There's something else there. Just because they're using less words because their vocabulary is not that big does not mean that these two animals, who are clearly involved in the case, are so stupid that they would use different words interchangeably for the same thing. No. No. That's when I found William Frege. He was dead on the floor and lying in a pool of blood. And as if I were blessed by the Scale Lord himself, I found the will that he was drafting, so I destroyed it. Frankly, Mr. Haraldson, I find that story very difficult to believe. I assumed as much, but you know what they say. Truth is stranger than fiction. Isn't it more likely that you murdered the victim? You're clearly trying to cover up what you did by saying that he was already dead. Really? Don't hit me with the truth is stranger than fiction at this point. Goodness gracious. Like, oh. Does it have to be a detective story or a lawyer story? Do they need the truth is stranger than fiction every time? They don't. In the same vein that not every single mystery visual novel needs a Schrodinger's cat situation, but here we are. Honestly, I really don't know what to think. Is he really telling the truth? Well, let's see. Why were you there in the first place? It all began when William Frege got into an argument with Harold. Co wanted to defund the prestigious Haraldson Hall of History. I knew a man like William probably had many secrets, so I devised a plan to bring him to his study and find something that I could use to blackmail him. As you know, there's a small air vent in the hallway, and it connected to William's study on the ground floor. I wasn't aware that William was planning to stay in his study all night, so I thought I could look through his documents without anyone seeing me. I suppose that does make sense. Is he really telling the truth? What happened when you tried to leap to the other air vent, Eugene? You collided with something you didn't see. I thought monkeys were extremely dexterous. Are you just clumsy? I have impeccable dexterity. It sounds like you struck a nerve there. I must have been muddled from losing the almond's magic. How do you know it was a sort of spell eating? When I held it in my hands, I felt my intelligence return, but I also heard Harold calling out to me telepathically. He was clearly growing worried, so I knew I needed to move quickly. Okay. Did this wild dog have a white coat of fur? He did. Are you acquainted with him? Something like that.
Well, next time you meet him, tell him that I don't appreciate being called a rat. I'm a proud orangutan.
You can understand him. I've picked up a little of the canine language throughout my life. I'm also fluent in squirrel and pigeon.
I can also speak owl, but I admit it's barely conversational.
Hey. As much as you want to test the validity of those claims, they're not relevant to the case. Would have been crazy. Can you speak some old?
It seems awfully convenient that he was murdered before you arrived. I know how it may seem, but I'm telling you the truth.
Do you have any explanation for how the assailant broke into the study without the sword?
I unfortunately do not.
Please, it's obvious your testimony doesn't match up with the evidence. Whoever did this either entered through the vents or they used the sword to nullify the lock. And your own testimony states that the sword was abandoned in that hole. It doesn't match up with what you thought happened, but does it really contradict the evidence you have? What did you do when you discovered the body?
I knew it was only a matter of time before someone discovered the body, so I quickly searched the room for something I could use.
You found the will.
So you were the one who took the will. I've been trying to find it.
What did it say?
I was pressed for time, so I didn't read the entire document, but I found an order to his executor to defend the heralds and hall of history. Since he went out of his way to specify that on the current copy, I concluded that his former will didn't have this addendum.
So you could save Harold's museum by making sure it never got submitted for probate. Do you have the will with you?
My apologies. I crumpled up the will into a ball and ate it, then left the room before my intelligence was completely gone.
Ugh. You're really hoping to see if William followed through on his threat to disinherit Beatrice? It's hard to believe, but you can't see any direct contradictions. Should you press him more? But what if he's telling the truth? If Eugene did do this, your next course of action is clear. Although that still wouldn't explain how Beatrice fits into this. You recalled something that Tracker said to you. You had to smell to see what a rat was when you dropped. Yeah. Yeah.
Eugene, when you were carrying out your plan, did you turn yourself invisible somehow?
No, I hardly had the means to.
Even if I had someone convince Harold to cast a spell on me, he doesn't know how to cast invisibility. Very few mages do.
Right, you recall Eris saying the same thing during the Nightgrave trials. Only a master of illusion magic could do that. That's how you first thought Beatrice was involved. But if Eugene is truly innocent, did she turn someone else invisible? No, that's true. You're back right where you started again. Think through this. Eugene's testimony fills in a blank that's been missing. What happens when you cross-reference our Tracker's testimony? As I keep saying, there was someone else there. How did the sword of spell eating end up in that hallway? Miser's lead us. Okay. The thief dropped the sword in the hallway. The thief dropped the sword in that hallway. But how does that make sense? They hide the sword there like you originally thought. No, the hallway was close to the gallery. There were plenty of better places to hide the sword. If it weren't for Tracker taking it, it would have been found even sooner. Thief must have accidentally dropped the sword there. This can only mean one thing. Where was the thief in that hallway? The thief sneaking through the air vents. Thief was also sneaking through the air vents. That's the only reason why they would be here. But that would imply that the thief was as small as Eugene. Could have been another familiar? And if so, why didn't Eugene notice them? Wait. He could lie over something he didn't see. In other words, it was something that wasn't visible to him. And as a master of illusion magic, Beatrice is one of the few people at the ball that could cast invisibility. Yep. Accomplice to stay quiet. Have you been approaching the situation incorrectly the entire time? Through the eye, you knew that Beatrice was involved somehow, but you just assumed that she was one part of a larger plot. Breaking off the glass and a casting of invisibility. These were elements that you knew she was involved with, but it never really fit together. Not unless she was the one pulling the strings the entire time. And there's only one way she could be in control the entire time. What did Beatrice use to commit the murder? Her own familiar. Assuming she had one. And we don't know if she had one, but it would make sense. A couple of memories flood into your mind. Familiar is a creature that a mage has formed a magical contract with. Yes. Yes. And then she did her little pew to make sure. Like, it's for 1 hour. I'm assuming she has to do this every hour, so her familiar doesn't turn visible again. A habit, yeah. You didn't know that she was blind back then, so you barely even noticed it. But how did she know that you were holding out your hand? Well, do you have any other questions for me? If you're wrong about this, Beatrice will surely be acquitted, and after that the Inquisition will turn their attention to Harold and Eugene. But there's only one way to know for sure. Your Honor, the prosecution has no further questions for the current witness. He's dismissed. What? I see. You have something else planned, don't you? Yeah, and I actually need your help. Really? You tell her about your plan. Really? I feel like you're making some big assumptions there. Wouldn't the Inquisition check for something like that? I know. That's the best play we have. Do you remember what Steven said yesterday? If everything goes the way I think it will, you'll be able to confirm its location. Once you do that, you just need to reveal it to everyone. Alright, I'll follow your lead then. So, Mr. Cuthbert, how do you proceed? Your previous witness brought about more revelations than I could have ever guessed. However, you still haven't given up substantial explanation about how the murder occurred or who actually did it. I understand that, Your Honor, but it will all make sense after I call my next witness. Another witness? I understand your hesitance, Your Honor, but everything that we've learned throughout these trials is finally coming together, and this final witness will tie it all together in a perfect knot. Why not in a perfect bow? Your Honor, the prosecution calls Beatrice Frege to the stand. She's right there anyway. She only needs to take like 2 steps. Come on. Seriously, Cuthbert? You went to all the trouble just to end up calling my client to the stand? You and your client have the right to refuse, Mr. Mora, but I wonder how that will reflect on your client's character. It doesn't really matter. She's already standing there with Mr. Mora. You can carry out your plan regardless of what she decides to do, but it will have much more impact if you can bait her into lying on the stand. My client says that she's willing to testify. However, we would like to propose a short recess. With these new developments, I'm sure you can understand that we have much to discuss. I see no reason not to grant the defense's request. Is this really okay? If you give them time to prep, they might realize what we're doing. I know, but I don't think we have anything to worry about. You've been building up psychological profile of Beatrice since this case began. It's hard to read her expression and emotions, even with the Eye of Horus. She keeps herself guarded and keeps her true intentions unknown. She's powerful, more powerful than her father ever cared to admit. Despite this, he tried to control her and put her inside a cage. But Beatrice Frege would never live in a cage. She wanted freedom and control, and she would do whatever it took to get it. Sure, the accident that blinded her didn't help things. When everything was said and done, she abandoned everything. Her wealth, her status, her family. She could have waited. She could have gritted her teeth until it was her turn to leave House Frege. If she was willing, she could have even secretly pushed her father past the gates of death herself. But she couldn't bear to live like that, even temporarily. You have no idea why this is how she chose to do that. Perhaps it had something to do with a meeting. But you do know one thing. Beatrice Frege will never put herself in a position of vulnerability. That's a crazy good sprite. God damn. If you endanger her freedom, she will make sure that she can see who she's up against. In the interest of giving the defense time to deliberate, we will be taking an extended recess. Court is adjourned.
Thank you! Adjourned. Adjourned.
Ha ha ha. As you were exiting the courtroom, you sent Celeste to do some reconnaissance. It should be similar to when she scanned Valentina during the Nightgrave trial.
Tyrion.
Celeste, were you able to see it?
Yeah, it's definitely there, and it sits on her shoulder most of the time.
She keeps it close to her. It's good to know.
It looks like kind of weird though. I've never used detect magic like this before.
Well, you doubt that someone like her would choose a conventional animal, especially for something like this. Cuthbert. Mr. Mora. There's something I need to show you. Preferably alone. Celeste gives you a concerned look, but you nod to show her it's okay. She moves to sit on a bench where she can keep an eye on Beatrice. Okay. Lead the way. Oh, no.
Girl, if you get me in trouble with your stupid employer who seems to be a bad guy, I will rip you to shreds. Fuck you.
Mr. Mr. Mora leads you out of the courthouse and into the city. Every time you ask her where she's taking you, she avoids answering your questions. Get out of there, Cuthbert! She's going to fucking kill you! Alright, we're here. You arrive at an empty alley in the frankly seedier part of the city. Oh yeah, definitely very trustworthy. As Mr. Mora approaches one of the derelict buildings, she's met with a large burly man who's guarding the back door. Don't fucking do this! The man silently acknowledges her and steps aside to let her in. Mr. Mora, where are we going? I'm sorry about this. I'm sure you're confused. Please trust me. I'll explain everything. I don't trust you. No. Before you have a chance to ask for more information, she moves into the building. The man guarding the door looks at you expectantly. The entire situation doesn't sit right with you, but you still continue to follow her. Despite your recent disagreements, you know that you can trust her. As you head further into the building, you find yourself in a surprisingly well-furnished room. From how it looked outside, you would have never guessed that it would look like this. It almost looks like a room that you'd encounter in a Frigga manor. As you enter the room, you spot several mercenaries standing at various points in the room. And most surprisingly, you see Ares standing at the end of the room. You give her a confused look, but she simply smiles and waves at you. Sitting at a desk next to her, you see a man with an eye patch. It looks like he's been expecting you. Ah, Tamara. Upon seeing you two, he cordially welcomes Mr. Mora before turning his attention to you. And you must be Tyrion. Tamara has told me a lot about you. I see. Who are you? I've been called many names over the years, but my favorite has always been the Eye Taker. Occupation boss! The Eye Taker? From the sounds of it, you've already heard of me. Mr. Mora, what is this? I thought the heiress has told me all about your work prosecuting this case. Jesus' daughter? I'd have to say I'm quite impressed. Getting a monkey to testify? I don't think I could even pull off a grift like that. Pretty much blown past my expectations. Why? To the point. As soon as you interrupt him, you feel every person in the room tense up. You don't even need the eye to know that your interruption put them on edge. Relax, everyone. Kids will be kids. I'm a father myself, you know? Anyways, I'll get straight to the point. I have a certain interest in the outcome of this trial. What are you talking about? Little Lady Frigga has been a client of ours for a long time. I've done quite a lot of favors for her, and the time has finally come for me to collect. Those deaths, as Steven mentioned, they all belong to me. But there's no need to worry, I know she's good for it. That is, if she can inherit House Frigga. What? Jamora's a good attorney, even without my help. If she's convicted, Tibi would easily reduce her sentence by rubbing the right hands. But you see, there's no pesky Slayer rule. The thing is, Cuthbert, I need Beatrice Frigga to be acquitted in the current trial. So that's what this is about? House Frigga's gold? That's why you helped him murder William Frigga? Please, my goals are nearly so short-sighted. I have big plans, not just for Beatrice, but for this entire kingdom. I don't need House Frigga for now. Just like you needed Justin Way? Tyrion. Justin, it's really a shame what happened to him. Connects are innocent. He would have never tried to rob Jack again if you didn't threaten him. Said so? Do you think I just randomly showed up on his doorstep one day demanding gold? He was the one who came to me for help. I just told him to pay back what he owed. If he hadn't come to me, it would have been some other criminal. But that's besides the point. Enough about what I wanted from Justin. Let's talk about what I want from you. You want me to throw the case? Hello, this kid. I don't have to beat around the bush with this one. No one will doubt you, especially considering the amount of work you put into this already. You don't need to do anything. Just take a dive. And let someone else take the fall? No matter what happens, the court will blame someone for this. If it makes you feel better, I can assign tomorrow to defend the old man and his monkey. That way everyone can come out of this unharmed. Everyone wins. Except for the fact that a murderer will be put in charge of House Frigga. Please, as if that's any worse than the people in charge of the other noble houses. If you recall, there's already a murderer in charge of House Von Sanctus. They're all dirty. You've seen it, haven't you? They rigged the system, they pay, threaten, or even kill people to get their way. All we're doing is leveling the playing field. Tyrion, please, just listen to him. How can you just go along with this? I told you a long time ago there were certain parts of my job that I couldn't tell you about. This is it. This is where we need to
beat them. To beat them. Those rumors about you, they're all true, aren't they? Forgery, bribery, blackmail. You guilty of each and every one of them. And you used him to do it. Also, you could keep winning. You blackmailed Miriam, Mr. Mora. Oh, as if we should show any pity for that spoiled princess. A dreadful thought just entered your mind. Stewen. She was attacked the day that Beatrice was arrested. Was that? I didn't know what they were planning. Despite my confidence in Tamora's skills, I'm afraid there was too much riding on this to leave to chance. You get to make your own luck if you want to beat the system. How could you? She almost died. We never expected her to strain her injuries like that. And we definitely didn't expect you to take her place. So believe me when I say that I'm being uncharacteristically reasonable right now. How could you even consider working with someone like him? Don't you think it's a little arrogant to judge Shiro Cuthbert? What? You talk about defending people as if you two are even close to being equals. She doesn't have the luxury of looking into people's minds now, does she? You told him about the Eye of Horus? Hey, future of magic is changing, kid. Like I said before, I have big plans for this kingdom, and I also have big plans for you. You think I would ever? Tyrion, stop. To be honest, I hate it as much as you do, but whether you like it or not, we need their help. But this is... Think about every client you defended. Think of Celeste. If you didn't have the Eye of Horus, what would have happened to her? If even one thing went differently, Pierce would have gotten away and Celeste would have been executed. You've taken chances and followed your instincts, and that's worked for you so far. But what if it's not enough? What if the system is too corrupt for you to fight against next time? With the Eye-Taker's help, you never have to worry about that again. Oh yes, definitely! Clearly, that's not going to put us into more danger. If I had accepted his help sooner, I could have saved your mother. So what's it going to be, kid? You already know about what happened to that Steven brat. So don't need to tell you what'll happen if you don't play ball. Oh, wait. No. What? Maybe you're right. Maybe I can't always win against the nobility unless I play dirty like they do. This is wrong. Tyrion. I'm not going to compromise my principles, not even for you, Mr. Mora. I'm sorry to hear you saying that, kid. I really am. With one motion of his hand, every mercenary in the room draws their weapons. You don't have to do this. Whatever conviction you had before is slowly fading. You should have never entered this place. You knew something was off. There are about a dozen mercenaries here, and there's even more guarding the way out. You know when he is physically strong as Celeste, but maybe you can make a break for it if you get lucky. Hi, room! No. Haha! Celeste! How did you get in here? My whole job is keeping this guy safe. Do you honestly think I'd just let you take him to an undisclosed location? It doesn't matter, as if one girl will make a difference. Well, what are you all waiting for? Does it really hurt? Upon seeing Celeste, the mercenaries cautiously step back. No one wants to make the first move. This monster's aura, it has to be her. What the hell are you doing? You have her surrounded. Despite his command, no one takes a step forward. Look, let's all just sit down and talk about this rationally. Perhaps a different approach is warranted here, Father. What? Could I have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Cuthbert? I believe I can make him see things our way. I'm sorry, sweetie, we can't just... Oh! She's even using it against him! Ooh! Well, you've never been wrong before. I'll leave them to you, love. Shall we go, you two? Celeste silently watches Ares with her sword drawn, but unlike the mercenaries, Ares seems unmoved. She merely walks past her and out of the exit. You and Celeste exchange glances and follow after her. That was close. I don't think I could have fought that horror woman by protecting you. Doesn't mean she could have fought them if she were alone. You two are really courageous to a fault, aren't you? It is. I appreciate you vouching for us, but I'm not changing my mind about this. Oh, I'm well aware of that. Why do you think I intervened? Oh, well, thank you. Is this really okay? Won't your dad be mad? I should be asking Tyrion the same question. You've seen your adoptive mother's true colors and rejected them. How are the two of you going to move forward? She's not my... Isn't she, though? She lost any right to deny it the moment she took it upon herself to raise you. She only did that because I asked her to. It wasn't her choice. By the
was? How old were you when your real mother was executed? 10 years old? It is. Back then you barely knew Tamara. It would be a stretch to even call her a family friend. She was an adult in that situation. What did she do? She fed your anger and hatred for the nobility instead of allowing you to process your grief healthily. Tamara took you away from your only friends and isolated you from society. She even homeschooled you, didn't she?
Oh, I don't like where this is going. The soundtrack is very good. I think a lot of money went into the soundtrack, I'm assuming, but it's worth it.
As a result, you never formed any other relationships. You met your first close friend at the age of 20 and she was your client. Do you think that's a bit sad? She isolated you because she wanted to use you.
That's not true. That's not why she...
From what I've seen today, you clearly have no idea who Tamara is. Even with the eye of horse, you're clearly a terrible judge of character.
It is you going way too far.
To save you from more heartache, let me give you one last piece of advice.
Edith leans in really close to you and begins to whisper into your ear.
Do you honestly think Celeste will ever love you?
What?
Sure you understand now. Tamara can only afford to pay her exorbitant salary because of my father. You've already burned that bridge, so where do you think the Crimson Demon will go when you can't afford her services anymore?
She's not...
Flynn had that, she has to worry about her mother. Do you think she has the luxury of playing around with you for free?
Or did you actually think that she enjoys spending time with you?
Tyrion, you have to look at this rationally. Any support or affection that she's given you has only been to keep you as an employer.
Yeah. Why are you doing this? Because I want to finally break you! I'm just trying to keep you from getting hurt. Motherfucker, I will rip off that stupid fake smile on your face. I also don't trust the fact that she's supposedly only 16. Little Miss Illusion. She does enjoy spending time with us, yeah. I placed it back on her upside down.
It may seem cruel, but you have to be realistic about these things. You trusted Tamara and she betrayed you. You need to make the same mistake twice.
Celeste didn't hear anything she said, but she seems to notice how it's affecting you.
That's enough. My apologies. I've been told I've been too blunt sometimes, but I do hope you think about what I said. Anyways, the trial should be starting soon. We should make our way back to the courthouse. I'm genuinely curious to see how this trial ends.
Carrie saying there's a cute anime person. I support women's wrongs, but
Tyrion, are you okay? What did she say to you? Wait. What did she say to you?
She reaches for your hand, but you instinctively yank it away from hers.
Tyrion?
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm okay, really.
Okay. Is he mad at me?
You can think about everything else later, but for now you know what you need to do. You need to convict Beatrice Frigga. I hope they figure out how to fix the sprites when they're blinking, because it's only been an issue when they're blinking in the scenes where there's like this overlay, stalker overlay. Court is now resumed for the trial of Beatrice Frigga. Is the defendant prepared to take the stand? Tamara asked you a question. Is the defendant prepped or not? She is, if the prosecution still wants to move forward with. The prosecution will be moving forward with this. Please bring in the witness.
Hello.
You still see it, Celeste?
Yeah, it's still there. Should I reveal it now?
No. Let's really make a point of it. Wait for my signal. In the courtroom I thought, that's so funny, yeah. Thank you for agreeing to take the stand, Miss Frigga. Mr. Cuthbert, it's my understanding that you were with the two princes for most of the night. Yes, I was. Just why I'm still quite confused as to why I'm being charged for this crime. Out of everyone here that night, I have thought my alibi was the most solid. That remains to be seen. Clearly. Anyway, since you still maintain your innocence, you have no problem going into detail about your supposed alibi. Yeah. As As you know, I was with Crown Prince Esther and Prince Alaric for most of the ball. I went there after my meeting with my father, and I remained with them until I was arrested for his murder. But Stephen and the King's Guard kept watch over me for the entire night as well. I neither had the means nor the opportunity to steal his full spell eating and break into my father's study to murder him.
Objection!
And that, Miss Frigga, is where you're mistaken. You definitely had the means to commit both crimes while under the eye of everyone here that night. The most effective tool an attorney has is revealing a contradiction in a witness's testimony. It not only completely shatters your opponent's argument, it also makes the court doubt whether if the witness is acting in good faith. Usually, you've used evidence to reveal contradictions like this. Oh, okay, let's do it. Wait, that's okay. Those two guys are always together. Now, Celeste.
Who are you?
Wait, what are you doing? Oh! Your Honor, the witness's testimony is clearly... Oh my god, what the hell is that thing?
Tyrion, get behind me.
Monster! That's not the kind of animal I was expecting. Someone called the Inquisition, the King's Guard, anyone! Your Honor, can you please restore order? Oh, Your Honor? Yeah. He fled out the back door the moment he saw me. He can talk. It's a demon, it must be. Just like the legends say. Can we all just calm down? Takes a while before you can get everyone in the room to settle down. Eventually it was clear that the demon wasn't intent on harming anyone. At least not yet. The court ordered extra guards just in case, and you're eventually able to bring everyone back to the courtroom. Mr. Cuthbert, what is the meaning of this? Sorry, I didn't know it was a... Actually, what are you? Are you a demon? Why, yes, I am a demon. Demons actually exist. I thought they were only a legend. Your Honor, not only do demons exist, the defendant has made one into a familiar. She's only blind in the literal sense. She's constantly looking through the eyes of her familiar to see. And? What do you mean, and? It's pretty obvious that making a pact with the demon is incriminating by itself. Tell me, Your Honor, do the laws of Avangard prohibit entering in accord with the demon? They don't, but... Then my client has committed no crime. Even so, I really would have preferred not revealing Marinette like that. Marina, is that your name? It's what most people call me. Demonic familiar! I like that we can barely see him behind the funny bar. I suppose you have a point, Demora. Having a demon as your familiar isn't technically illegal. However, this does prove that the defendant had a way to commit the murder, all while under the eye of everyone in the ballroom. She could have sent Marinette upstairs to the gallery and then had him steal the Sword of Spell even. After that, they would just need to traverse the vents into William's study, just like Eugene did that night. It's a very cool design for sure. The fact that her familiar is a demon proves that she couldn't have done that. What do you mean? You saw how everyone reacted when they saw Marinette's form. A monkey may have raised some eyebrows, but someone surely would have reported Marinette if they saw him. Tamora, your client is a master of illusion magic. Can I assume that we'll find invisibility in her spell companion? Might. And with the connection granted by familiar bond, she could have cast a spell on him regardless of where each of them was. I'll admit that my client does know how to cast invisibility, but your theory raises another question. Will my client continue casting it unnoticed? Yes! Continue casting it? You'll understand once I go over the orders of events that night. At an unknown time, someone stole the Sword of Spell Eating from the Heralds and Gallery. Due to the timing of this, I'll admit that it would be logically consistent if my client was a thief. However, sometime later, my client met the Crown Prince and was watched closely by the King's Guard. From witness accounts, including yours, we know that this happened at 12:45 AM. And since this time, my client didn't leave the King's Guard's sides. It was around this time that William Frigga retreated into his study and locked the door. Hello, Raiders!
Yeah, welcome in. I'm Noah. I like the color pink version of his jeopardies. We're currently playing Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. How was your stream, Parasite Eve? Ooh.
I have no idea what game that is. But I hope you had fun. Hi! Welcome. It's not, well, it is heavily inspired by Ace Attorney. But it's not a fan game of Ace Attorney in and of itself. It's its own universe, and it uses magic and mages and everything. So, but it uses the basic principle of, hi, you are a defense attorney and you're trying to defend people in court. Yes, yes.
You had fun, I'm glad to hear. Also, hi Kingdom! Thank you for coming in the raid. Hello.
It is very cool. We are currently in the 4th case, towards the end of the 4th case. Actually, 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. I am hoping to finish this one tonight. I think I might have to go a little bit over time, but I would be willing. I do want to know how this one ends. It's very good.
Let's go.
Yeah, wait, let me check real quick. The game itself. Let me see. Tyrion. Hold on. The game only came out last year. No, it's not. It's not on sale right now or anything. But it's really good. Also, the soundtrack is really good. Extremely good. You can get the soundtrack on Steam as well. He made a point of telling everyone that he didn't want to be disturbed. Then at 1:03 a.m., Lord Harrelson finally discovered that the sword was stolen. He reported the theft to the King's Guard and they activated the lockdown system. Shortly after the report, Leif Frigga tried to speak with her father about the theft. William Frigga reiterated that he did not want to be disturbed. Leif saw his face, and there weren't any traces of illusion directly on his body. This means that William Frigga was still alive at this time. Unbeknownst to everyone at the time, William Frigga was attacked by the murderer at 3:12 a.m. This is confirmed not only by Jan Hughes' testimony, but also by the autopsy report. Then at 3:26 a.m., the King's Guard found a sort of spell eating in my client's old room. The King's Guard tried to arrest my client for this, but the Crown Prince told them to stand down. Only at 3:36 a.m. the lockdown was lifted. Jan Hughes reported what he heard, and that's when the Inquisition and the King's Guard discovered the body. The theft must have happened before 1:23 a.m. when it was actually reported. In order to keep Marinette concealed at every step, my client would have needed to keep it invisible from 1:03 to 3:12 a.m. Yes, and she's made it a point to just fucking clap her hands and then say it's a habit. So no one would have been like, oh, I wonder if she's casting a spell that needs clapping to cast it. Let me prove it to you right now. The art is very nice, yes. Just wait until you see a few more characters, haha. Not only that, she needed Marinette to wield the Sword of Spell Eating to ignore the effects of the anti-magic fields. This means he would need to be invisible for more than an hour. What's your point? My point is that invisibility has a duration of 1 hour. I'll admit that my client could have cast invisibility before she met with the Crown Prince, but if she wanted to keep Marinette invisible, she would have needed to recast the spell at some point that night. And as you know, my client couldn't have done so during that night without the King's Guard noticing it. Your logic makes sense, but it can only mean that the defendant refreshed invisibility right in front of everyone watching. In front of the entire King's Guard, the 2 princes, and Lucio Steelwind. As unlikely as it is, it's the only conclusion I can come to. Also, funnily enough, actually, while we are defense attorney in this specific case, we are actually acting as the prosecution. So, you truly get the best of both worlds. I had a feeling you'd say that, which is why we have a witness who can confirm that Beatrice didn't perform any magic that night. Oh! A witness. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Prince Alaric to the stand. I see. He would have certainly been close enough to notice the defendant casting magic. But wouldn't the Crown Prince's testimony be more suitable? Trying to say that Prince Alaric is unqualified to give proper testimony, Your Honor. Of course he's saying that. The kid is 7 years old. No, of course not. Is the prince ready to testify? Grow a spine, for Lord's sake. Hello, child that only has one eye. Thank you for coming in, Prince Alaric. Could you please?
Hold your tongue, knave. You will speak when you're spoken to.
Oh, God. He sounds exactly like Miriam when he first met her. Honestly, he behaves exactly how you'd expect a prince of this rotten kingdom to act. Asta's the odd one out in this situation. It makes you wonder what made him so down to earth. Oh, Your Highness. Mr. Cuthbert believes that the defendant used her magic while she was with you and the Crown Prince.
I already gave my statement to the instigators. This man dares to question my testimony.
Yeah, he said it, not me. How? Judge didn't even think twice about throwing you under.
It's better for you, of course. Thank you so much for coming by. Get some rest. Very well. If my testimony is required to strike down these redundant accusations, I will bestow it upon you.
Redundant? Don't you mean ridiculous? Mr. Cuthbert, do not dare to suppose what His Highness really means. His boots must be shiny from all that licking you're doing. What was that?
Nothing! I think that's the first time we've seen this sprite on Cuthbert.
You think Lady Freya cast magic right in front of me? Don't be a serf. She was under the careful watch of the King's Guard, my brother, and Lord Staywind. We conversed for the whole night and I didn't see her cast any magic. She's been through so much over the last few years, and all because of her horrid father. She'd never do something like this. You and Lady Staywind are just jealous.
What? He seems really convinced that he didn't see anything. You doubt that he's intentionally lying.
Celeste, usually when you cast detect magic, I can see magical energies overlaying your eyes.
Yeah, there's always a visible magical effect on a target when I cast a spell.
But Marinette was probably in another room. The King's Guard wouldn't see the initial magical effect of invisibility.
Even if there wasn't a visible effect in that room, she would have still needed to say the incantation and perform the gesture with her hands.
Right, like how you shout Repari Arcanum every time you scan a crime scene.
I don't shout it.
No? You only say it really pronounced. She must have done the incantation and gesture at some point during the night. Did she ever get an opportunity to conceal herself to do so? Oh, we'll see. Celeste, what do you usually need to do to cast a spell?
There are a lot of factors involved, honestly. Stamina and focus are a big part of it.
Assuming that she's in perfect condition, what's the bare minimum that she would need to do?
Well, she would have to focus her magic, say the incantation, and perform the gesture with her hands, all at the same time.
That sounds pretty conspicuous, but she must have hidden it somehow. If I recall correctly, you and your brother were with her until she was arrested for the murder. What did you speak about?
She told us stories about what she did while she was away. She was researching something. I forgot what she said. Something about the old cult.
Do you mean the occult?
Yes, that's it. She was researching ghosts and demons.
Considering who her familiar is, her research must have paid off. Anyways, Your Highness, could you please add this to your testimony?
If I must. She told me and my brother how the occult are fascinating phenomena. I didn't see her cast any magic.
The occult are a fascinating phenomena, yeah? The occult, oh, you can see that. The occult are a, she's hidden the incantation, what she was saying. Oh, motherfucker, she's smart.
Objection!
To cast a spell, a mage needs to speak an incantation, but there's nothing that says you can't say anything before or after it. Your Highness, according to your testimony, a defendant told you that the occult are a fascinating phenomena. Is that exactly what she said, word for word?
Yes, the stories she told us were quite interesting. They really stuck a chord with me.
I see. Well, even if they were interesting, your testimony proves that she did cast the invisibility spell that night.
Are you deaf? I already told you. No one heard her say any incantations, nor did they see her perform any gestures.
Unfortunately, your testimony proves the contrary. Beatrice Frigga said an incantation and performed a gesture right in front of you, all without anyone even knowing it.
What?
Your Highness, there are two components required to cast invisibility. First, the caster must speak the incantation Occult Are and clap both of their hands together. The Occult Are fascinating phenomenon. The occult are. The occult are. As I'm sure you noticed, the defendant has a habit of clapping both of her hands to calm herself. Now that I think about it, that habit must have come from constantly casting the spell. The defendant requires Marinette to see, so she must constantly cast invisibility to keep them invisible. Cuthbert, you may have an explanation for how she hit the gesture, but she would have still needed to speak the incantation. However, she did speak the incantation. The witness's testimony proves it.
What are you talking about? I never said that she spoke any incantation.
Your Highness, the incantation for invisibility is Occult Are. Now recall what you said in your testimony. She said the occult are a fascinating phenomenon. The pronunciation of that one phrase is identical to the incantation, depending on how you say it. The way I say it is not the exact same, but it works apparently. Occult are a. The occult are a. Occult are a. Yeah. So she hit incantation in a conversation. And because the target was a creature that was outside of the ballroom, no one saw the magical effects. This means that Marinath had the means to murder William Frigate just as Eugene did. Having the means is completely different from actually having done it, Cuthbert. Very few people had the ability to shatter the display case or seal a sort of spell eating, and even fewer people had a familiar small enough to traverse the vents. Which also makes Harrelson's familiar an equally likely suspect. And unlike my client's familiar, he admitted to breaking into William's study that night. If your client's familiar is truly innocent, then why not have him testify before the court? I mean, we've already had a monkey here, why not? So, well, it's not as if he's the first unprecedented witness we've had today. Is Marinath willing to testify, Mr. Moore? You see Tamara deliberating with Beatrice and Marinath. You can't hear what they're saying, but they're clearly in disagreement with each other. Marinath in particular seems to be the most vocal about his displeasure. Your Honor, unfortunately Marinath is unwilling to testify. Why the change of heart? My client's familiar may be a demon, but he's afforded the same rights as any other person. He's not obligated to testify. You look at Marinath and he's grinding his very sharp teeth together. For some reason he appears to be looking at you with intense hatred. Why are they being so secretive all of a sudden anyway? A witness can refuse to testify to avoid incriminating themselves, but a refusal to testify is suspicious in and of itself. Tamora had no issues with Beatrice taking the stand earlier, so why would she change her tune when it comes to Marinath? And despite what she said, Marinath seems like he disagrees with her decision the most. Is it possible that he's the weakest link of the three of them? If so, he might be the key to implicating them. Demons take great pride in the ability to deceive and corrupt people. You wonder. I see. Marinath is well within his rights to refuse, if that's what he truly wants. Can demons plead the fifth? Yes. Well, I suppose it's for the best. I doubt he'd be able to corroborate your story at all. Marinath grinds his teeth together. It sounds like metal grinding on metal. Considering his diminutive figure, I don't blame him for being a coward. Mr. Cuthbert, could you please refrain from provoking the literal demon? That's fine, Your Honor. He can't do anything without his master's word. And between him and the defendant, it's clear that Beatrice is the brains of the operation.
You shut your filthy celestial mouth!
There we go.
Marinath, what are you doing? I will not stand here and be insulted by a bloody heavensborn.
Heavensborn?
I'm still within my contract. I will not flee from the likes of him. You want my testimony? I will give you my goddamn testimony.
Objection.
Your Honor, my client does not consent to having her familiar testify. Tamara, didn't you say earlier that Marinath is afforded the same rights as any other person? He has a right to refuse to testify, but only he can decide if he wants to exercise it. And he's clearly intent on giving it. So Marinath, why don't you testify about what you were doing on the night of the murder?
Gladly.
Ooh! Tongue out and everything.
I provided sight to my keeper while she spoke with the princess. I'll admit that she did cast invisibility on me during the conversation. She needed to keep me hidden after all. But I never left the room where my master was.
Didn't we already say that if if someone casts magic, there's a magical effect to be seen on whatever the magic is cast on? So if you were in a room, someone would have seen them. Okay, whatever.
Nor did I steal the sword of spell eating. You have nothing on me, Heavensborn. You don't even have proof that I entered William Frega's study.
Okay. Do you honestly expect us to take your word for it? Or do you have any evidence to support your alibi?
I only speak the truth, Heavensborn. There were mages other than my keeper that could have stolen the sword. And by your own admission, none of your witnesses saw me on the night of the murder. The one lacking evidence is you.
He has a point. You still need definitive proof that ties him to the murder. Presenting contradicting evidence might not be possible. However, he's clearly lying in his testimony, and there's something strange about the way he's speaking.
Why is he pausing so much? You're not seeing any thoughts through the eye, but perhaps you can try to interpret the meaning of his words. Okay. You provided sight to your keeper while she spoke with the princess. She did cast invisibility on you. You never left the room where your master was. Beatrice is your keeper, but Beatrice is not your master. You wouldn't call your master also your keeper. I see.
Objection!
Who's your master, little guy? He keeps taking pauses before certain statements, but not all of them. And more importantly, his word choice was different. Did he slip up? Marineth, it looks like you misspoke and used the wrong word. What? Through most of your testimony, you referred to Beatrice Frigga as your keeper, but you referred to her as your master during one statement. Why is that? For the first time, he doesn't have a response. So I'll ask again. Did you leave the ballroom that night? I didn't leave the room where my master was. He's using the word master again, even though you pointed it out. Why isn't he correcting it? Does it mean he's intentionally using that term? If so, why? You can't lie. Why is Marinette using the term master? There has to be a reason why. Beatrice is not his master and he can't lie about it. So he's trying to get around it. Beatrice is... No, wait, the other way around. Marinette is not Beatrice's familiar. No, wait, no. Why is Marinette using the term master? Nah, other way around. Beatrice is not Marinette's master. There we go. Both of these make sense, but I wonder if both of these would actually work as an answer. You take his words at face value, the master he's referring to isn't Beatrice, and if Beatrice isn't his master, then his statement, I never left the room where my master was, would technically be true. But why even bother making the distinction? He clearly has no moral hang-ups about committing murder. No gods, no masters, no virtues. He could have just lied. Why wouldn't Marinette simply lie? Demons apparently pride themselves on tricking and corrupting humans, so why wouldn't he just lie in his testimony? Because he can't. He can't lie. Can't be. Demons are clearly different from humans, but would they seriously have a limitation like that? It would explain why Timur and Beatrice were so opposed to having him testify. There's only one way to know for sure. Witness, can you repeat the following statement for me? Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is green. What kind of ridiculous request is that? Another pause. I'm afraid I must agree, Mr. Cuthbert. Please don't waste our time. I'm just conducting a little experiment, Your Honor. So I'll ask you again, Marinette. Say the following phrase. Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is green. Your Honor, Cuthbert is clearly making trivial requests to stall for time. His request is not worth a response from the witness. That's not what I'm doing, Timur, and I think you know that. Marinette, we truly don't know how much about demons aside from the stories told in myths. So is it possible that demons are physically unable to lie? Damn it. I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but it seems quite ridiculous. Why wouldn't a witness be capable of lying? I genuinely don't know, Your Honor, but his testimony speaks for itself. You can easily refute it by granting my request. Say Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is green, witness. You said it yourself, Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is green. That's not what I asked for, witness. Repeat the statement I told you, word for word, nothing after or before it.
Objection!
Your Honor, the prosecution's argument is absurd. The witness is not obligated to fulfill such an outrageous request. I might be compelled to agree with you, Miss Tamora, if the witness wasn't clearly avoiding fulfilling that request. Well, we're all waiting, Marinette. You can easily prove me wrong by repeating my statement plainly. You filthy heavens-born! Say it, Marinette. Tyrion Cuthbert's hair... Tyrion Cuthbert's hair is... blonde. Technically, it's a dirty blonde. Oh, shut the fuck up, Tyrion. Oh, shut up. Is Mr. Cuthbert correct, Marinette? Are you actually unable to lie? I think
think the silence speaks for itself, Your Honor. Remarkable. I would have never imagined. And with that, proving my case becomes a much simpler matter. Maraneth, did you murder William Frege? I'm sure you understand, witness. Under these circumstances, staying silent is basically an admission of guilt. You have no reason to stay quiet, Maraneth. Tell him the truth.
Oh. Oh!
Lady Beatrice, what are you... I believe it's time to come clean, don't you, Maraneth? See, so that's your plan.
Oh?
Don't think you can just stall for time, Miss Frege. Maraneth has no choice but to answer the question. Do it, Maraneth. Tell the court the truth. To answer your question, yes. I did murder William Frege. What are you doing? Miss Frege, does this mean you're confessing to the murder? Oh, Your Honor, I'm not admitting to anything, but she's using the sprite words like, oh, ha 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 ha. Fine. This confession comes from Maraneth himself. But your own familiar just... Let me ask you a question, Maraneth. Did I order you to murder my father? No, you did not, Lady Beatrice. What are you talking about? You're lying, aren't you? Demons are physically unable to lie, Mr. Cuthbert. She's right. She must have done something. She planned for this. She must have arranged things so that the statement could be technically true. She could have asked someone else to give the order. She could have just implied it. Either way, she can just be ignorant and blame everything on Maraneth. Still, this isn't over. Oh, is that so? Let me tell you, this trial was over the moment Arya turned a blade against me. I don't care who you are, man, king, or demon, you're not going to get away with this. Huh, I do love the gravitas behind that, but I wonder how long it will last. Hit me with your best shot, Heavensborn. Also, can you explain to me before you get thrown in jail what that means? Beatrice Frege, you might not have technically ordered your father's murder, but you were clearly acting with malice. You brought something dangerous into the manor, something that you knew would harm your father. Oh really? And what would that be? I didn't bring anything dangerous into Frege Manor. What was so dangerous that implies lethal intent?
You're familiar?
You brought Maraneth into Frege Manor that night. You were clearly planning to murder your father from the start. I require Maraneth to see that does not imply lethal intent. But you brought a demon into that house and as a result your father was killed. It's hardly an innocent mistake. My client specifically asked if father familiars were allowed. We even received a written legal confirmation beforehand. We couldn't have possibly expected her to bring in a demon. He didn't specify not to do this. The presence of Maraneth did not break any of his rules, nor any laws by the kingdom. Right you are, tomorrow. I can hardly be blamed if my familiar acts without my knowledge. How can you be blameless in Maraneth's actions? He's your familiar. This is species to demons. It is. Also, why is my tracking broken? Come on. Okay, it's just gonna take a while to catch up again, I guess. By the same logic, shouldn't we also blame Lord Haraldson for the actions of his pet monkey? If I recall, he broke into the study, tampered with the crime scene, and then left my father's body without reporting it. That's... Maraneth and Eugene are intelligent and sentient creatures. They have their own autonomy. The keepers aren't legally responsible for their actions. Damn it, she's playing devil's advocate, but you suppose that's fitting for her. You still cast invisibility to keep Maraneth hidden that night. Mr. Cuthbert, I always cast invisibility on Maraneth. I can't very well let people see him. Face it, Mr. Cuthbert, you have nothing on me. I did not commit any crimes during the Lord's Ball. Every crime related to the murder was committed by Marinette. No. That's not true. Beatrice, Marinette required your magic to break the wards guarding the sword of spell eating. You may be able to explain why you cast invisibility that night, but you can't explain why you cast an evocation spell powerful enough to shatter that display case. Oh, that I'd almost forgotten. I plead guilty. What? No charge of grand theft, I mean, I wanted Marinette to help me steal that artifact so I could sell it on the black market. I would have never imagined that he'd use it to murder my father. Right, it doesn't matter if she's found guilty of stealing the sword. The Slayer rule only takes effect if she's found to be responsible for her father's death. Damn it, is there seriously nothing you can do? Marinette will take the fall on Beatrice's behalf. Since for first degree murder, Steph, are you really willing to die for your keeper's crimes? Ah! Marinette, the sentence for first degree murder is death. Are you really willing to die for your keeper's crimes? Oh, you stupid. Heavens-born demons never truly die. When the bodies are destroyed, you return to the abyssal hells. Hell? If I were to die in accordance with your laws, I would only return to my plane unharmed. What? Even if I could die, a fate much worse than death awaits me if I fail. Straight up pain to argue against men together. You can't break Beatrice's confidence at all. So, do you have anything else, Mr. Cuthbert? I didn't think so. Your Honor, it appears we found the true culprit. I can't believe you killed my father, Marinette. I'm so cross with you. I should give my apologies. I won't do it again. Ha! Don't worry, I forgive you. Now then, is there any reason why this trial hasn't ended already, Your Honor? Come on, don't you have anything else? There is one thing. Damn it, not again. Is that all you can do now? Glare at me? What? Marinette, what did you just do? I've been watching him. He's been using an old celestial trick. It's weak. Your device games won't work here, Heavensborn. You. Looks like that was your last piece, Cuthbert. This can't be how it ends, not after you've come this far. What's it that you like to say in these situations? Checkmate, Cuthbert. Nope. Not yet. No. Question. Lloyd. Well, I have to say, this was one of the more eventful trials I've overseen. It was many things, if not enlightening. But I suppose it all ended the same. And think of something? Anything? Well, I find the defendant's actions quite suspect, I must agree with the argument. Aside from the theft of Lord Haraldson's exhibit, none of Miss Vega's actions that night are legal under Wyvern law. And there's no proof that the defendant is responsible for Familia's actions. With these revelations, I see no room for debate. We will be taking a brief recess. I will announce my verdict once we resume. Damn it. Is this seriously how it's going to end after everything you've gone through to get here? The bit is bleak, merciless, and unforgiving, but I've seen you. I know how bright the light within you is. Use my eyes. Peer beyond the divine gate as I once did. Marinette called you a Heavensborn, and your mother told you that there's a light within you. You have no idea what that means. What even is a divine gate? Why do you have the Eye of Horus? Why are you able to read people's minds? I've been so lost lately, but you thought you finally figured out who you're supposed to be. But all of this, everything you've been working towards, it was all a lie. You spent your whole life trying to be like Mr. Mora, but is she even like her? No, she just wanted to raise you into a tool for the Eye Taker. She was never your guardian. She was never your mother. Your real mother died years ago. Was Ares right? Is everyone in your life just trying to use you? Looking back on it, you've had no idea what to do with yourself since your mother died. You've just been making mistake after mistake, leaving Oranax, trusting Tamara, becoming an attorney. You've always just done as you're told. You never once made a path for yourself. You saved Celeste, and Wallace, and Drac again, all when no one else would stand up for them. Was helping them a mistake? You fought for a dream that doesn't exist, but that doesn't mean that you can't make it real. It's true that you followed Tamara's lead, but you've always done what you thought was right above anything else. You wouldn't have stood up to that criminal if you truly didn't know right from wrong. And you wouldn't be standing here if you just done as you were told.
What do I do?
I'm not going to tell you that. You already know the answer. You've always known the answer.
You take a deep breath and relax your thoughts. How do you prove that Beatrice ordered Marinette? Situations can seem hopeless sometimes, but there's always a way to win in the end. Okay. Use physical evidence that connects Beatrice and Marinette. In order to convict Beatrice, I need to prove that she was responsible for Marinette's actions. People leave trails, even when they think they've committed a perfect crime, something always gets left behind. There has to be something that proves Beatrice gave Marinette the order. Beatrice's relationship with Marinette is clearly different than the relationship between two humans. What is unique about Beatrice's relationship with Marinette? There's a specific way the relationship works. Whoa! Their connection is facilitated through a pact. There's a specific way the relationship works, or the pact, as Marinette calls it. Wasn't there something that someone has said? Well, what was it? Who told you something about demonic pacts? Mr. Haraldson himself. The sort of spell he said to have been forged using a pact between a demon and a mage. Yep. Blood contracts. That's right, Beatrice must have a blood contract with him. A legally binding document like that must describe how their relationship works. Eve did tell you that Beatrice would never trust someone that she couldn't control. So she would only put herself in a situation where she had full control over Marinette's actions. But it's not as if they'll ever show it to me. It would be a tall order to even prove that blood contracts even exist. I guess you have a point. If you ask me, I think you've done a wonderful job so far. So just this once, let me guide you the rest of the way. What? Tyrion, your eyes don't actually read minds. Give you the means to reveal truths that are being concealed. You can pull the truth out of anyone and anything. True. So say it together with me. Marinette, dweller of Avernus? What are you doing? By the Eye of Horus, I issue upon your divine edict. Release thy guards and manifest your blood contract with Beatrice Frege. Oh. Oh. How the fuck did that work? It's a legal document written in blood. It's also 50 pages long. Luckily, you someone on each of the exact section you need. Marinette is prohibited from killing or injuring any and all humans. Beatrice Frege can designate individuals that are exempt from this rule. Any exempted individuals will only remain so for 24 hours. After that, Marinette cannot harm them unless told otherwise. Well, that's specific. And also exactly what we need. You did it. But how? Is that really your... That's not important right now. She gave you what you needed, the rest is up to you. What in the nine hells was that? When did you learn to... Mr. Cuthbert, what just happened? Yona, I just made a witness manifest a blood contract. You did what? Blood contract? You can think of it as a legally binding document. It lays out the terms of the pact between Beatrice Frege and her familiar. Incredible! Where did you learn how to do such a thing? Just now, in my brain. With my dead mother. Don't ask me how that makes sense. Thank you. The library? How? To think that our kingdom had access to such knowledge. It's a good thing the judges in these series are as clueless as they are. Yeah, I'm not buying it. How did you really find out how to do that? It's a long story. You're not sure if she'd believe you even if you told her. Anyways, the defense argument is such. Marinette was acting alone and the defendant is not to blame for his actions that night. However, take a look at page 7 of his blood contract. It specifies that Marinette is prohibited from killing any and all humans. There's only one scenario where he can do so, and that's when Beatrice Frege designates someone to be exempt from this rule. Beatrice Frege, you didn't directly order Marinette to kill your father, but you implied it by telling Marinette that he could kill him. Not only that, you did so within the 24 hours of the Lord's Ball. Your intent was clear. You brought Marinette into Frege Manor with full knowledge that he could and would kill William Frege. And that is checkmate. That's crazy! And just when I thought the surprises were over, in the end we arrived at the truth. I suppose I can't disagree with that. What do you have to say for yourself, Lady Frigga?
Do not call me that.
It's almost funny that you hate your name that much. Your entire plan depended on your claim to the Frigga estate.
Do you have any idea what you've just cost me? Everything has been ruined because of you.
Why should I care? You're just another noble trying to steal power for yourself.
Don't you dare lump me together with those tyrants. We wouldn't have just liberated House Frigga, we would have liberated everyone. Miriam, Leaf, Arya, even Esther. Our system is broken. The only way we can fix it is by burning it down from the inside. As long as King Olivier sits on a throne, this suffering will only continue.
Lady Frigga! As a prosecutor, I should warn you. You don't want to add treason to your list of crimes. Even though you'd like to see the king ousted as much as he does.
It doesn't matter. I'm done either way.
Heavensborn, look at page 46 of the blood contract. By accepting his pact, Beatrice Frigga forever binds her soul to the abyssal hells. If Beatrice Frigga fails to pay her debt by claiming House Frigga and all of its assets, her soul, her mind, and her life will be claimed by the Empress of Discord. The contract goes on to name several parts of House Frigga's holdings. There's very little room for ambiguity.
Arya was almost right. She just jumped to the wrong conclusion. My debts were never to the Eye Taker. They were to the abyssal hells.
Why would you agree to something like this?
Because I miscalculated. This folder records of your many plots against House Stewart and the Crown. It would be a shame if this information fell into their hands.
You think this feeble attempt at blackmail will frighten me? I've dealt with far more formidable adversaries than you. There's nothing I can't solve with House Frigga's resources.
What are you talking about? Lucius Stewart isn't the type of person you can just buy.
It's clear your time away has taught you nothing. Everyone can be bought.
Before I left, he controlled every aspect of my life. I saw him as this unstoppable tyrannical force, but I never even considered one possibility. That William Frigga was a sheltered moron.
He honestly thought he could pay off Lucius Stewart. Anyone who's met him would know that would never work.
I'd have sent this information to House Stewart and the king, but I was running out of time. I needed to inherit House Frigga as soon as I could. I felt trapped. I felt angry. I just wanted something to change.
Something about this feels wrong. Something deep inside you is crying out in anger. A blood contract is still a legal contract, isn't it? What? If it's a contract, we can dispute it. We can find some kind of loophole to get you out of it. What? Trying to redeem the enemy you just defeated? You really are Heavensborn.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cuthbert, but I won't accept your help.
What? Why? We can at least try, right? Did you seriously come this far just so you could die? To dispute a blood contract is to bet your own soul. If you fail to render it null, your soul will be dragged to hell alongside hers. Even your divine blood won't save you from that fate. Still, I can't just...
Leave me, Mr. Cuthbert. I don't want to drag anyone else down with me anymore. Not you, not Leaf, not Miriam. Despite everything, I still have my dignity.
I believe there's no further need to prolong this trial. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frigga and her familiar to a holding cell. I'll be passing my verdict shortly. I don't think she's gonna be alive for your fucking verdict if she is going to get her soul claimed.
Hey, are you okay?
Yeah, as okay as I can be. Which is not very okay at all. I still feel uneasy about how things turned out. It doesn't feel quite like the victory you were hoping for. You fought against the demons, and you can't help but feel like you lost.
Cuthbert, we need to talk.
What's done is done, but the boss isn't going to take kindly to what you've done today.
I know it's a long shot, but maybe if you talk to him, he'll...
No.
Cuthbert, this is serious. He's going to send people after you, dangerous people. You can't just ignore this.
Blah, 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 blah. Just listen to me and... Shut up.
Tyrion, how could you do this? How could you work with criminals?
Cuthbert, I Everything you told me, all those ideals about protecting the weak, it was all a lie. Everything Commander White said about you is true, isn't it? I'm just trying to... I don't want your help. As you yell at her, your voice echoes throughout the lobby. Several of the people nearby turn silent. I gave up everything for you. My childhood, my home, my happiness. I left it all behind to chase the ideal that you told me you were fighting for. That was never real, was it? You made me throw away everything, all for a goddamn lie. But I'll make it real. I'll do it without you. Tyrion, She reaches her hand out to you, step away from her. You never cared about me, did you? All you cared about was using the Eye of Horus. That's not... Shut up. I don't want to hear any more of your damn lies. Go away. Get the hell away from me. I never want to see you again. Oh, I guess now we've finally doomed our mentor figure to die. Without a word, she walks away from you. Tyrion... She reaches out her hand to hold yours again, but she hesitates this time. Fuck off, Ares. I hate you. No. What? Yeah. Yeah. Celeste actually genuinely cares for us. Oh, here's at the lowest. It is the end of the second to last chapter, yes. Yeah. As she hesitates to hold your hand, you reach out and grasp it. She smiles as you take hold of it. She seems glad you didn't pull away this time. Without thinking, you pull her into a hug. Huh? Sorry, I just really need this right now. Should I stop? No, it's just... people are staring at us. Who cares what they think? They're nobles. They're going to hate us no matter what we do. Aww. Still unsure what you're going to do next, but perhaps you don't need to, even if tomorrow's ideal was a lie. Celeste, there's been something I've been wanting to tell you about. Oh, what is it? It is sadly not the love confession you're waiting for, but it is about my funny little, not quite magical thing. It's hard to explain, really. I don't even know where to begin. But it's about an ability I have. I call it the Eye of Horus. Even if that idea was a lie, you have the power to make it real. And even if you can't trust tomorrow anymore, you have people in your life that you can trust. That's crazy! Okay, what's the scene after the end, though? There's always a scene after the end. Hello! What a fine mess this is. This kid has completely and utterly ruined everything. As much as Tamara hates it, we're going to need to put him in the ground. I don't think that will be necessary. Sorry, love, I know you're fond of him, but I can't let an insult like this go unanswered. He's going to have to pay the price. I think you've misunderstood me, Father. I meant that his facade is no longer necessary. Oh. Looks like he took one of his own. Oh. What the hell? Is something wrong, Father? Who the hell are you? You look nothing like my daughter, so why? Centuries ago, I believe. Your great ancestor hated the monarchy and needed a weapon to fight the mages of the noble house. So he made a pact with me. What are you talking about? But things didn't turn out like he wanted, I'm afraid. Poor Lord Laren's plot was discovered and his noble house was stripped of its rank and status. His very name was stricken from the annals of history. He was supposed to give me Wyvengard, but I had to settle for claiming his bloodline. Aaron, how do you know about my name? No one knew about that name, not even my real daughter. I know it's been centuries, but I haven't forgotten, John. John! Everyone in your bloodline belongs to me, including your daughter. Basta, what did you do to her? What I do to all my prey, I made her suffer. No. Did you know that she was crying out for you for months? I made her watch, you know. I made her watch as I took her place. Oh, well, the father that she so desperately called out to forgot who she was. Oh, while my minion slowly and painfully tore her soul apart. You monster. You goddamn monster.
Enjoyed the torment while it lasted, but even that couldn't satisfy me. What I really crave was the blood of a celestial.
That's what this is about, that stupid kid.
But I can't have you kill my dear Tyrion just yet. At least not until I'm done with him.
You goddamn demon, I'll kill you!
This man is your enemy. Your life's goal is and always has been to exact revenge on him.
The hell are you talking about? You! I lost everything because of you. They kicked me out of the Inquisition because of your false testimony. Let go of me. You killed my entire family. I won't let you get away with this. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything. Isn't that the noble who killed all those children? He already got released by paying off the judge. What are you talking about? Get away from me. Don't lie to us. We know what you did. Stay away.
Uh-oh. Finally entered the final act, my dearest Tyrion. And from what I've seen, I think I know exactly how I'm going to break you. I hope you're just as excited as I am.
Actually, I do. I must say, I think the first time I gave her that voice, I was like, oh, I don't think that's fitting. But now, I think it's a very good voice. So not 16, obviously. No, not 16. He's the eye taker and the daughter taken away, or blah. 16 is no age, but a number for victims. If it's been centuries, I think the entire bloodline has been more than 16 people, but yeah. Oh boy. 16 squared. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Oh no, Raiders, hello! Hi, Raiders, welcome in. Oh no, hello! I'm new, I like the color pink vision of some JRPGs. We were, until just now, playing Tyrion Cuthbert, Return of the King. We just finished chapter 4, so I was planning on finishing the stream, actually. Oh my goodness, hello, hi! Also, thank you for the follow, hi! I'm so sorry, that is very unfortunate time. What were you playing? Gazillionaire. What did you do in Gazillionaire? That's fine, it's fine. We just finished the chapter. I'm so sorry. You will get your Pikachu though.
Pikachu. Pika pika. Pikachu.
Akira isn't here to redeem it. Yeah. What do you do in Gazillion? I hope you had a fun stream. Oh my god. Gazillion is a very interesting looking game about space stock trade. Wait, space stock trading? What? Wait. Gazillionaire? Hold on. Become a gazillionaire by starting a tiny trading company and building a business empire in space. I guess. Classic business strategy game from the 1990s. Now on Steam. Oh! Oh! I see. Not gonna lie, I've never heard of that game before in my life. But sure, become a business trader in space. Why not? Are you seeing Jeremy play? Ah, yeah, that sounds like the type of game you would see Jeremy play. Interesting. This game doesn't look like other things you've played in the past. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh man. Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator. What the that sounds specific. My model was made by Haru here. Oh, thank you for the follow. That's a real game. I mean, listen, I believe you. That definitely sounds like a real thing, because like Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator. I guess buy, sell, and trade organs in a strange and evolving universe. Dive into the quivering innards of alien capitalism in a sci-fi body horror market tycoon game you didn't know you needed. Similar to games you've played, Cookie Clicker. Okay. 3 friends on my wishlist, on my friend list want this game. 1 friend actually owns it. That's Fascinating. It's also on sale. Listen, the vast expanse of the internet gives you access to many games. Whether you actually want all of those games is out there, but you have access to them. Oh, that's fun. But yeah, thank you so much for the raid, but I'm so sorry. We just finished the chapter we were on about, and I'm only slightly over time, so this is where we will be ending for tonight. But I hope to catch you again sometime. However, I'm going to... I did have a lovely stream. We managed to finish the entire chapter. I honestly didn't think we would, because it was quite long. But because this means we have one more chapter for this game. The last chapter. It's the last chapter for the entire game, so I'm assuming it's gonna be quite long. Let me check real quick. Oh hell yeah! The last chapter is gonna be 7 parts, same as this one. So I assume it's going to take us maybe 2 more streams. 2 more streams to get there. I think. Oh, I cannot wait to see how this is all gonna go over well, since we now have some more revelations. But yeah, this is gonna be it for tonight. Let me just do this. Or we will be continuing this game on Sunday, actually. Sunday normal stream time, I think. I'll see you guys next on Friday for Octopath Traveler, which is something I am going to jump into in the hopes of actually understanding it properly this time. I'm a little scared of diving into that game, but I do desperately want to play it finally. I've owned it for years. I've owned it pretty much ever since it originally came out, which is quite a long time ago. So, wish me luck. The game is super duper hard. Don't say that. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try. But thank you guys so much for coming by. Send you guys over to Safira, who's playing Shin Megami Tensei. I cannot read which one that is. One of the Shin Megami Tenseis. One of the more modern looking ones. Have a good night. Thank you so much for coming by. I'll see you all soon.
Bye bye. Bye bye bye.